All right, we're back. Jimmy, we're here. First, we can talk about what you're doing now, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm locked in.
Big debut. Hooligan guy nowadays. We're down here Roebling Road in Georgia. Just drove, I don't know what it was, 14 hours or so to get down here so we could get you guys this one before the 200. I know our guest today has a big week coming up, and he's probably a little jet lagged because he just flew over from England. So pleased to have you. We've got Peter Hickman. How many times have you won at the Isle of Man? I
14 now, yeah.
14. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Do you still have the lap record?
Yep. Currently.
So you're the fastest
So
man
far.
around the Isle of Man.
So far, yeah. I've held it pretty much since 2018. First it was a 35.4, and then Michael actually went slightly faster in practice in 2023, and then in the race I went like a good chunk faster. So
That's unreal. That's unreal. Well, we really appreciate you making the time. I know you're busy testing
good.
today, and
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I figured today would be better than the 200 because once you get over there, it's going to be madness. So
It's gonna be tight, but
before we get into it, Jimmy, you want to tell them about our sponsors?
yeah. So we've got a great partner as always. Law Tigers are America's motorcycle lawyers. A motorcycle incident isn't something you ever expect, but you need to be prepared in the case. If you or you know somebody who's ever injured in an accident, always call Law Tigers first. The services are at no cost to the riders, and they will fight to get riders taken care of and back on the road. With Law Tigers, you never ride alone. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS.
And we've got Yuasa Battery, the most trusted battery in power sports since 1979. For over 45 years, Yuasa has delivered power, reliability, and passion at every turn. Yuasa supplies power sports batteries to more OEMs and riders than all of our competitors combined in the U.S. and globally. The reason is simple: premium quality, unmatched reliability, long life, and advanced engineering with years of application expertise.
Whoa.
It's a lot. That's a big one.
I mean,
That's good.
you both did well there.
Yeah. It's not
You've
a first
rehearsed
rodeo.
that.
It's not a first rodeo.
Yuasa Battery, setting the standard for power sports batteries since 1979. Each and every day, it starts with Yuasa. Find your battery or your local Yuasa retailer via yuasabatteries.com. And again, that's Yuasa Battery, Law Tigers. Thanks for supporting the pod. And yeah, let's get into it.
Dude, so what are you doing? So you're here at Roebling. You're shaking down the Triumphs. You're riding a Triumph 765 at the Daytona 200, and this is your second year.
Yeah, second year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you first last year even try to do it? And you got your boy Coops with you.
Yeah, I've wanted to do the 200 for so long and just never had the opportunity. Obviously, you know what it's like. You've been over racing in the UK. It's difficult to ship everything across, get yourself across even. And obviously there's a big financial problem with doing all of that as well. And obviously the whole team, the whole PHR performance team that I've brought over, which is my company from back home, all the guys work for me already. So to bring everyone over, there's 14 of us here.
Holy smokes.
It's a big
All right,
big
Yart.
effort. Yeah. But you need the people. If you're going to do it, like I'm very much, I don't like to half-heart do things. If I'm going to do something, I do it like full on. So the problem with that is it then costs even more money because you need more hotels, more, even just something as daft as paying for food and drinks for everyone for like pretty much 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a big cost. So it's something I've always wanted to do. We came to a really good deal with Triumph with the official entry for Triumph. Obviously, we're a British team. They're a British brand, so it kind of works really, really well. And last year they actually kind of almost came together like with us and was like, oh, we've actually got an opportunity here where we can help you do this, and brought Freedom Road along. So Freedom Road Financial helped us last year and helped us again this year. And without them, we absolutely would not be able to do this. So so a massive thank you to Triumph and to Freedom Road Financial. It's a US company. They work with Triumph a lot already, so it makes absolute sense why they put their effort into the Daytona 200.
Is Freedom Road a finance company?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have it with one of my KTMs.
There you go.
Yeah, so dude, I'm supporting Hickman's racing.
One way or another.
Dude, put the hog on, man. No.
So it came about to do it last year, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I need to bring someone fast as well. Coops already rides for me a little bit. We do lots of stuff here now. Obviously, the Superbike Championship last year as well. He actually won the championship on the new Daytona 660 Triumph. So it made sense to bring him. He'd also ridden at the 200 already, back on the Boxer days. So that would have been like 2010, 12-ish.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time ago. So he was here with BMW back then. It made sense to bring him across. And do you know what? Neither of us finished the race, which is always.
Yeah, but you guys were fast.
but we were fast.
Yeah.
So and
Those bikes are fast.
yeah,
I was gonna say
Triumph's quick. Yeah, Triumph's quick.
It's kind of crazy. Do you think it's interesting that nobody's racing a Triumph in America?
Yeah, there's not that many. There's a few more in the hooligan class now, and we've had some inquiries because through my PHR workshop, we do. In fact, up until this year, we've done every official Triumph 765 engine for British Supersport, TT, World Supersport, Moto America, Daytona. So like when Brandon Pash won the Daytona on the Triumph, that engine was built in my workshop in a little old place called Louth in Lincolnshire.
Oh yeah,
in the UK.
So
we
cool.
shipped them across. So for Danny and for Brandon, them engines were built by us. And that was 21, was it? I think 22 maybe.
yeah.
So for the last kind of 4 years, we've done all Triumph engines.
Wow, that's
How'd
crazy.
you get into that? Like, when did you start the whole race shop side of things?
Yeah, only the last couple of years now. So the shop's got really big really quickly, which is not always the best thing. But Dave Booth, who works for me, he's been doing engines for a long, long time. Won lots of championships, lots of races. In fact, nearly all my engines that I've won on at the TT have been built by Dave at some point. So yeah, he's been a really good part of the business, and we get a lot of engine work. And he's just a magician. Somewhere along the line, he did his first ever sidecar engine last year. We did it for the Crow brothers, and they went through the speed trap at the TT 8 mile an hour faster than any sidecar's ever been through the
Holy
speed trap
smokes.
before. So, and that's like, against people that are very experienced. And he was like, bit of an educated guess, but he guessed it. It was like, I'm going to go here and I'm going to do this with it. And yeah.
But I thought you had a shop open before I left. You had something kind
Yeah,
of bubbling.
Yeah, so Peter Hickman Racing has been running for a while anyway. I've run all my own merchandise and stuff, as you know.
Yep.
So that's been going since 2017. But the actual workshop itself was kind of the 19 onwards.
Yeah, okay, so like as I left, you were kind of...
Yeah, just starting to kind of ramp up. And like now, if you came to the place, I mean, it's 14,000 square foot. My place, it's a big old place. Yeah, and we have everything. We're a one-stop shop. I hate that phrase, but we are a one-stop shop. We literally can do, we've got 3 benches with 3 sets of tools for everything, every bench. We've got a full engine room. We have suspension room. We have a graphics room. We have the dyno room. We've got CNC machines, lathes.
Oh, wow.
So we can literally do everything. The bike can roll in as a road bike, and it can roll out as a World Superbike spec. Done.
That is insane.
But you don't sell bikes though, not a dealership.
Not very often.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like obviously, I've got some of my race bikes, or maybe we'll see something or part X something against something else, but not very often. I try and stay away from the buying and selling. It's not really our sort of thing. What we like to do is sell performance upgrades, and particularly in engines, but also suspension, dyno, all the electronic sort of stuff.
So,
Is it worthwhile financially speaking? Because you always hear like getting into racing as a business, because it's everyone that races, you know how it is. Everyone's looking for a deal, right?
Yeah, that is the biggest problem dealing with racers. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, but that's the price. But what is the price? Like, no, that is the price. It's tough. It is hard work. And actually, the business has got really big really quickly, which is not necessarily a good thing because it gets a little bit out of hand. I've got inside the building now, they're not all my employees, but there's about 11 to 12 people in that building now, and 7 of them are my employees. So it's it's tough.
it definitely must change when you got to cut the checks for...
overheads.
Yeah.
Like, hammers you, yeah. And then obviously like business taxes and the fact that the building's quite big, I get taxed more, and it's there's a lot to it. But the actual basis of what we have, I think, is really good. And we have really experienced people like Pete Clifford, who's here, who's my dyno guy. He's been doing dyno and electronics work for over 40 years. He's come through the start of the electronics thing really coming into bike racing, so he's super experienced. We've done more ECU flashes with a program called Woolwich than anybody else in the UK. And he again, another kind of magician, really. That experience, you can't buy it.
Yeah.
And we've got such good experienced people on the team already. It's it works really well. And we're actually trying to mix that with young guys as well. So the couple of guys that we've got here that worked for Coops last year and they're working on Coops' bike this year, they're only 20 years of age. And Leon has actually built both of the bikes that are here. He built them himself. He's 20.
Wow. That's super cool.
Built them from scratch in the workshop. So he's between him and Mickey Bing Bong, as we call him, he them two work really well together. Leon does a bit on the electronic side as well. So again, we're trying to teach him the kind of everything's about electronics nowadays, whether we like it or not. Electronics is a big side of bike racing. So trying to bring the youth into some of the experience. That's the idea.
Do you find it hard to find mechanics in the UK? Just like I know in the US, it's a massive problem. We have a dealership in New York, and it's finding
good people.
Yeah.
You can find people. Finding good people is hard work. Hard work.
That's interesting. I would think in there, do a lot of people start in racing and then they come to something like that, or is it like is the dealership mechanic the same kind of level, or is it different? Like I feel like in England you see a lot of guys who do both. Like it's like a little bit more of an industry than it is in the US. Yeah,
it's motorsport in general is quite big in the UK. Like it's been part of our heritage for such a long time. I think it's just almost normal to us. There's that many race teams about cars, bikes. Even in I live on the East Coast in Lincolnshire. We're a tiny little village right next to Cadwell Park.
Yep.
There's myself as a race team. There's FHO as a race team. There is Honda as a race team. There's PTR World Supersport team. Like there's 4 race teams inside that little tiny village town on the East Coast of England. It's really unusual to have that many teams together. But England's not that big.
Yeah,
and it's just not common not to see like old Tyco, Relentless jerseys. Like these are old teams, and you still see them. You just see merch at every pub, and I think that's like one of the biggest differences is when you come over here, you go into the local. If you're not at the track and seeing the guys leave here and go to the nearest restaurant, you're probably not seeing a race team shirt. And I think it's changing a little bit, but over there, it's like every bull.
Yeah, somebody's into motorsport somewhere along the line. Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting.
That's insane. So when you guys come over to the 200, how early do you guys start planning that? Like how? And logistically, I can't imagine. It must be a nightmare. But
yeah, it can be a pain. In fact, U.S. Customs were a massive pain in the backside this time around. In fact, I nearly didn't have my bikes.
Really?
Yeah, we got the bikes Friday night at midnight.
So you ship, just for people, you don't have anything here. You ship everything.
Everything, the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So 2 bike crates with all parts in them as well, and then 2 more crates with extra parts, engines, spares, wheels, you name it. Obviously, we try and bring at least 2 of everything because, we actually have to have probably 4 of everything because we've got 2 bikes.
Oh, you do? You guys have 4 bikes?
Yeah, we got 2 bikes, but obviously 1 bike each. So what I mean is we've got 4 amount of parts. It's
insane.
It's a pain.
That's more than most race teams in the U.S. have to go racing for the whole year.
What's crazy is for one race. So do you park these bikes, or is one of these will turn into your TT bike?
No, so these bikes were actually the TT bikes from last year. So what we rode here last year was the slightly older spec bike, which is a 2022 spec. The same as what TOBC are riding with Pash and Eslick.
Mm-hmm.
We rode them here last year, which were my TT bikes from the year before. And then the last year we upgraded to the 2024 model, so we've got the slightly upgraded Öhlins fork in the front of the bike. Gearbox is slightly different, engine slightly different. I raced them at the Northwest and the TT last year with myself and Pierre Bian, the French rider who rides for me on the Trooper bikes, and then we've turned them into the Daytona bikes for here. What they're going to do after here, I've not actually fully decided, but the bike specs shouldn't change, I don't think, for next year, so they'll probably get refined a little bit more depending on what we learn next week. And then hopefully ship back out again for another go.
Do you think it's easier though? Like I know sometimes taking the older model that's refined, you know what you're coming into, versus taking a new model. Is that something that Triumph want to showcase, or there is all the upgrades a big performance bump?
A bit of both. Actually, the performance side of things, not so much from an engine side. They're pretty much, it's slightly different, but if anything, the performance we found last year was actually slightly worse than the engines from previous. We've actually managed to tweak that enough that it seems to run now. There's so much, again, going back to the electronics thing, and obviously this is part of the next generation electronics and Supersport class. So we've obviously got oversized CC bikes racing against 600s, but we have to run to certain rules. So the engine spec is the engine spec. You can't change it. You can't go in there and port it more or shave some more off the cylinder head. We have to run what we have to run, and everything else is where you're going to find all the little gains. So there's been lots of little changes that we've managed to make after TT 2024, where we actually struggled. The bike was a lot slower in a straight line than what I'd had previous for one reason or another. It seems like we've pretty much cured that now. after being here today as well and riding against some of the other bikes in close proximity, because I've not ridden this bike since TT 2024, so I've not ridden it all on the 765. So for me, it was a bit of a culture shock getting back on a super sport bike. But again, this is another reason why we're here, to help get myself up to speed, rather than turning up at the Daytona 200 fresh like I did last year.
Has Triumph talked with you about like leaving those bikes over here and having a race team kind of thing? Like, has there been any discussion of them trying to go racing in Moto America?
No, not from that side at all. It's maybe something I should ask, because maybe they are interested. Yeah,
it would be very cool.
It would be cool. It's good to see TOBC back, obviously, as well, doing the 200.
Yeah,
they've done it for so many years, and obviously with the loss of Michelle, which was really sad. Obviously, I got to meet her last year. That actually helped us quite a bit. They're actually going to run our triple clamps this year at the 200. Obviously, we were allowed to change triple clamps and rear links for this year in Supersport. TOBC are actually running our adjustable triple clamps that we've had made, so
very cool.
Pretty cool.
Now, does everybody? I know you said that the spec is kind of the same, but engine wise, everybody is the same spec for your bikes and what you sell, or do you got a little tickle?
No, we're not allowed.
All right.
We're not allowed. I wish I could, but no. The only difference really between our bikes and the TOBC bikes is they're the older spec.
Okay.
So they're the 2022 spec. So what Brandon's already won on.
The other thing I was asking is like in the UK, the dyno numbers always seem to be very high, and over here the dyno numbers seem to be very like lower. But I mean, obviously your bikes were really strong last year. Do you notice the different? Like, have you ever dynoed your bikes here?
No.
Okay, I would love to know.
Yeah, what it would produce over here. Yeah,
because I remember my Yamahas with TTC like 142, 143, and then over here they're like, there's no chance, 131, and you're like, well, I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, every dyno is different as well, and like our dyno, I don't know if it reads high or reads low. We do see on some bikes some big numbers, including the super bikes that we race or I race. But at the end of the day, it's just a comparison. Doesn't really matter what the figure is. It's what did you have before and what have you ended up with. Or, if the engine spec has changed, then what difference has it made? Like, not necessarily in the horsepower at the top, but what do you do at the bottom? What do you do in the mid-range? There's so many other things that the dyno is useful for. We're never really that bothered about what the total figure is. Although it's nice to have a big number, obviously.
Do you, still on the 200 side of things, obviously you run Pirelli, right?
No, Dunlop.
You're gonna run Dunlops, and is that why did you not stay with a Pirelli that you're more normal, like from BSB and stuff?
I've been a Dunlop rider for pretty much my entire career, apart from when BSB made us go Pirelli.
Okay.
And when I race on the roads, I run on Dunlops.
Okay, that's news.
It's my preference of tire.
Okay.
And then when I spoke about even coming to do the 200 last year, obviously I spoke to the Dunlop guys and was like, what do I need to do to get Dunlops over in the US? And they kind of sorted it all out for us and said, these are the people you need to talk to, and this is what we recommend.
Do you notice a big difference in the American Dunlops?
Yeah, especially for the 200, the tire is very different. They're a bit like a bowling ball. I mean, the Dunlop's a stiff carcass tire anyway,
right.
And it's something that Coops actually really struggles with. He's tiny, he's little. He's only got like 60 kilos, so what's that, 130 pounds?
Yeah, that's what he looks about.
Yeah, 140 pounds maybe. He's tiny. So he actually really struggles to load the front. And it's, another reason why we're here at Roebling. This is a Dunlop test. We're here to try and also get Coops comfortable on the front tyre in particular. He ended up crashing on the front last year.
In the second horseshoe, right?
Yeah. The final corner before going back up on the banking, which is a horrible left anyway, isn't it? And he took the front. And he was not comfortable with the front the whole time we were there. So this is why we wanted to come here and try some different stuff. And we've had day one, and he's already more comfortable than what he was last year. So
that's good. It's good sign.
Absolutely. Yeah, I bet. How much, if you can share, like how much budget does it cost, just even logistically, to get over here? Because I think that's to me is very curious. Like, I know how much it costs to ship. I just shipped my helmets today for $300. They get them from Wisconsin to Florida, so I can't imagine getting stuff from England to Florida.
Yeah. So the biggest problem is for the bikes and the kit. Generally, we're not ready in January, which is what we need to be to ship them. We have to fly them. So I flew them here and I shipped them back, which is exactly what I did last year. To fly them here is around 10,000 UK pounds for the 4 crates.
Wow.
Which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
To ship them back will be £3,000. So you're going to look at kind of $16,000, something like that, to ship here and back again. Flights wise is around £9,000 again for the 14 of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're already at what, nearly $30,000, and we've only done flights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the budget's kind of more around the 60 to 70,000 mark.
Yeah.
It's
insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
It's a
much
lot.
different for American teams, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
'cause
of course.
Logistically, it's kind of the same.
Same
Yeah, I mean,
flights.
what you said, 14 hours to drive here. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like our team's not doing it this year, as you
Yeah.
probably know, but it's because it's a $50,000 event.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's still the same for me. Even, it's a little bit more for me, but only because of the flying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And one of the biggest
but everybody
things-
flies here too, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit more expensive, but you'd be surprised. Like going from weird airports to here, you're still looking at $1,000 flights in America.
And like hotels for Daytona.
Yeah.
Like, we've ended up getting a house because it was a cheaper way of doing it. One of the hotels, which wasn't even a massively good hotel, for 14 of us for like 9 nights was $23,000, $24,000. Mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental. I ended up getting a house, which is really cool for a good
Like an
a good-
Airbnb.
an Airbnb. I think it's $15,000 at the end. But
Yeah.
Now,
Still,
when you compare that to racing in the UK, do you guys stay at the track? I don't,
yeah, so I have my own RV actually. So I have an American RV back in the UK, and I take that everywhere. I live in it. It's my house.
but the crew wise, logistically speaking, it's
Most of them will either stay in hotels or a lot of the riders generally have motorhomes or RVs. But a lot of the guys normally go back to hotels. My guys actually were in hotels last year, but I bought a truck for this year to run my PHR performance outfit out of. So we're going to run a real young lad on Coops' bike from last year. His name's Harrison Desoy. He's only 19 years of age.
Ooh.
Coops is kind of taking a step back to then be kind of almost a team manager for PHR.
Great.
So we've got 2 young guys. We're doing the mechanicing and the electronics, and then a young guy on the bike. Coops' experience to kind of oversee it all. But I've bought an 18-ton truck, and it's got living in it. So
cool.
they get to stay at the track this time, which I think they both will prefer.
Is an 18-ton truck like an Arctic over there?
No.
So what
It's
is-
a rigid.
So it's all together.
Yeah,
Okay.
altogether. Yeah. So it's not articulated at all.
Okay.
So it's about, what would it be, 13 meters maybe long?
American, please.
American. 38 foot.
Okay. So
about this size.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
RV size.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's cool.
And it's got a back and a living quarter up front.
Yeah, so living
Okay.
quarter in the front and then garage in
So
the back.
something
And they
that's
do
like,
bunks in there, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like bigger than the K-Tech rig.
Yeah.
Like longer.
yeah, slightly
Okay.
longer, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
It's such a different way of doing it. Like nobody stay. Like if we told our guys in the US that they'd have to stay in the truck with the rest of the guys, it'd be like
No chance.
game over.
Well, dude, that in
Where's my
BSB,
hotel?
Yeah.
that's just life.
Yeah, it depends on the team, I think. It depends on the people, like, and it also depends how old you are. Obviously,
Yeah.
some of the older guys are like, I just want a nice, comfy hotel
I
with a
wanna-
bar.
Right? Yeah, want
So-
a mixed grill.
Yeah, exactly.
Pint of lager.
Whereas the young guys are kind of like,
Whatever.
don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's awesome. You're doing some younger stuff. I think it's like I wish there was more of that in the U.S. It's so difficult here, but
We're trying anyway.
it needs it, right? It needs.
Well, they start rebuilding it now because Coops fell over earlier.
He crashed?
Yeah, only little.
Where
He ran off circuit, and then I think he nearly hit the back of Escalante, and then it was like kind of like,
Poppy.
yeah, it caught him out a little bit. So then he kind of sat up and then couldn't get the bike back, so ended up on the grass.
Yeah.
But literally rolled into the sand here, which is like really deep, and just tipped over.
This
right
place
at the end.
isn't the safest. When you start looking around, I was looking in the last corner or second to last corner, and I was like, "Whew, man, if you go off here, it looks like a firing range wall."
It
Like,
does,
actually.
I'm like, oh man.
I wonder what led them to that. Like instead of just, I guess I don't know. Instead
I
of
don't
putting
know.
metal fences up, they just put
The track is really fun, but
Yeah.
it's yeah.
It's
I've
more of a
never
car
ridden
track in it. You can
Yeah,
see
yeah.
it's been built for cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool though. I've enjoyed today.
Good.
Yeah, it's been
So
good.
you're here tomorrow?
Yeah,
Cool.
we'll do all day tomorrow.
And then but it always hasn't been sunshine and rainbows for you.
No,
I remember when I first came over, you were in the middle of the thick of it with the I remember like Honda even
Well, I've
before that
switched
like
manufacturers all over the place.
the,
Yeah,
like the
Honda.
was it the purple
yeah. GB
like-
Moto Hondas
yeah,
back there.
and then even before that I know it's been a tough road for you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
haven't had it quite easy. Like so going back, what got you into riding?
So my dad used to race back in the 70s, back in the heyday of motorcycle racing, I think you can say. He raced against Kenny Roberts, Barry Sheen, all the big names. So he did a little bit of Grand Prix work as well. But unfortunately had a big accident in 79, which finished his career. He was actually in hospital for 18 months.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, he broke pretty much everything from shoulders to knees, the whole lot. Pelvis in 5 places, and yeah.
Shame.
Yeah, so he kind of just started to get somewhere, and then down he was. So he was a development engineer and mechanic anyway by trade. Did Dunlop tire testing and all sorts of stuff. So even the Dunlop history kind of comes back probably even a little bit from my dad. So when he did get out of hospital, he didn't go riding again. He went into mechanicking, team development, rider development. Worked at Grand Prix level still. So ran riders at Grand Prix as well as British Championship. So I grew up around that area. So even as a 4-year-old kid, I did half of the Grand Prix season in a 7.5-ton truck with a caravan on the back of it, with my dad running a rider. So yeah, I guess it was kind of always going to be something I wanted to do. And I did always want to ride bikes, but he would not let me have a bike. So even from a kid, he was the opposite. He pushed me into football or soccer.
Yeah.
Pushed me into soccer. He pushed me into golf, which is horrendous. I hate golf. It's the most boring sport in the world. The golf carts bit's all right.
Yeah.
What else did he push me to? Snooker. Darts.
Yeah.
Like literally anything that was like high wage and low risk. That was what he pushed me towards. And my answer to that was at the age of 12, I think I was. I bought my own bike without telling him, hid it around the back of the house.
12?
Yeah, I saved my pocket money up for a year. I used to get £1 a week pocket money. That was my pocket money, and I saved it till I had 50 quid and went and bought a Kawasaki AR50 in a wheelbarrow that was full of bits.
Wow.
Not been ran for God knows how long. And
so
hid it around the back of the house, and then eventually got to building it and figuring out how engines work and all the rest of it. And yeah, to be fair to my dad, once he found it and obviously gave me a massive bollocking, he's been there ever since. Been right by my side and taught me the best way to do stuff rather than the longest. Well, rather than finding it out yourself, he'd be like, "Don't do it this way, do it this way." And to be fair, I've always had a really good relationship with my dad. So where most kind of father-son relationships are a bit clashy, me and my dad's never been like that. So if he said to do something, I just did it, and like no questions asked. So I went from never riding a bike at 12, I rode a superbike at 17. So in 5 years, which is probably unheard of, pretty much.
That's insane.
So is buying your own bike at 12.
Yeah, maybe so, but yeah. But I first tested a superbike at the age of 17. Yeah.
What was that?
A Kawasaki ZX-10, an absolute animal, the 2004 version as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, the one that really wanted to hurt you. And I actually raced it as an 18-year-old. My first ever superbike race, I was 18. It was a year after, in BSB.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, I did.
And so 2008, you said?
No, I was 18, so it was 2006.
2006. That's insane, 2006 in BSB. So you've just logged laps around all of those tracks.
Yeah. I think I've done more BSB starts now than anyone.
That's insane.
I think
Really?
so it's 450 odd, I think. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So if I stay for another couple of years, I might even make 500. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's insane. So how old are you then?
I am 37.
Oh shit. I
Yeah.
thought you were
So I've got a little bit of time.
didn't even think you were
just-
30 yet.
I wish.
That's crazy. Been at it for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Didn't
this
think
is
older than Jimmy, you know.
19th year in BSB.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I've done BSB every single year.
Yeah.
There's been there's been a couple of years where I've like not had a ride at the start or not had a ride at the end if I've stopped halfway through the year or something. But I've actually raced BSB at least a few races every year since 2006 till now.
So did you do GP style stuff? Nothing like that? Just
No, I was too tall. Even as a 12-year-old, I was nearly 6 foot. So it was kind of a bit off the cards. It was what I wanted to do, actually. I was like, I want to go Grand Prix 125, 250, 500. And my dad's just like,
Nope.
nah.
not happening.
He's like, it's not for you. You got to go production racing whether you like it or not. So
what was your first like road race bike then?
the first big bike that I rode was an Aprilia RS 125, the Super Team bike. So so production-based bike. 28 horsepower at the rear wheel. It was I actually had Casey Stoner's bike. I should have kept it, shouldn't I?
That's cool.
Yeah, so I had his bike.
Cool.
Yeah, his bike from the year before. I had it in 2002. So he raced it in 2001.
Huh.
Something like that. Yeah, 2001. Yeah.
So to get to that point, you just rode a dirt bike?
No,
locally,
no,
or-
never did any off-road. So I started on the AR50, like rode it in my next door neighbour's field for a bit. He had he hired out tractors, so he had quite a lot of room out the back of his house. So I used to just black around there. And then I started mini moto racing, so pocket bikes, Polini 911R. That's what I used to race.
So is that kind of the trajectory in the UK? Like,
Yeah.
The mini bike stuff is insane there.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it?
massive now.
Dude.
I mean, back then it was only like literally we had mini motos and different classes of mini moto. Then I jumped on 125. Now we've got mini motos. We've got like I import the Ovalis into the UK and Ireland as well. So that's another business that I've got going on. And we've got like 3 different classes of that, and like which is kind of what we class them as a mini GP bike, but they're more like a midi moto. They're in between a pocket bike and a Moto 3 bike, aren't they? So we've got so many classes now, and pit bikes, and there's all sorts in the UK for that sort of stuff. Cheap racing to be able to like get into it and see if you like it. When I started, there was just mini motos, so I did a whole year of mini moto racing before I went up onto the Aprilia Challenge 125. Had a teammate at the time, Will. The kind of deal was his dad had his own business. He had a little bit of money. We never had any money. Like my dad's got 0, so he was good with his hands, but he wasn't so good at business. Good at fixing stuff, just not charging for it. So whereas Will's dad had a business, but wasn't so good at mechanicking. So the kind of deal was he bought the bikes, he helped run them, and then my dad mechanicked everything. So and that's how the mini moto season went, and we finished first and second in the championship. I was second, unfortunately, and then we went up to a pretty super team after that.
Wow. And so when did you feel like you were like good enough to, actually have a go at it? Was it pretty early on that you were like, I'm
I don't know. I never really kind of saw myself that way. Even now, I just love racing bikes. So like, I just want to get on a bike and start riding, And as a kid, yeah, all right, I wanted to win. Obviously, I wanted to win. But at the same time, I was very much just kind of like, do I get to go on my bike yet? Like, I just want to, when's the next session? When can I go back out again? And I just black around. And yeah, I guess, it kind of came down to my dad and his experience, but he just moved me on when it was the right time. I never really stayed in the championship long enough to win something properly. I kind of like got to the front, stayed there for a round or two, and then he was like, right, move on, next class.
Just
like,
jump
keep the learning curve going while I was still learning fast. Hence why I went from learning what a clutch was at 12 to riding a British Superbike for the first time at 17 years of age.
That's such a trajectory. That's insane.
It's so, well, I mean, yourself, like
Dude.
you've ridden Superbikes, so you know exactly what that means.
In England.
Yeah.
Like, that's just insane.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
What would you say the hardest part of that, like having the really no time in any particular, did you think that hindered you, like, or
No, I don't think so. No, I think the hardest part is that I never really won anything. So I haven't like got loads of accolades to go, oh well, I was this champion and that champion and that. I've never really. I've won one British title, which was the Superstock Cup. So it wasn't even the main championship back in the day. We had about 80 something riders for Superstock 1000 at one point. So when I first went into Superstock 1000, which was 2004. There was over 80 entrants for the class. So what they did was that after qualifying, they would split it into 2 different races, and there'd be a cup race, which was all the slower riders, and then the main race, and the top 2 from the cup race that won would go onto the back of the grid basically for the main race. So I ended up doing the cup a little bit. My actual first race I missed because I was still 16 at the start of the year. You have to be 17 to race 1,000.
Yeah.
But I actually qualified for the main race. I qualified 24th at Brands. Like,
That's
little
crazy.
spotty 17-year-old just. And we went to Brands and qualified 24th. But I only made 3 corners in the race before I was over the bars.
Crash.
Yeah.
Would you? Because I don't remember you really ever crashing when I started watching and things of that nature. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
But like, you've always been like really just.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean,
I've had my moments.
A couple,
and years.
but you seem to log a lot of laps, and in my experience of watching, and just kind of always logging laps and you're always one of the fittest riders per se, like bike fit wise.
Yeah.
Right. You weren't like always meathead jacked, but you always had good fitness.
Yeah, it's something I've always been really good at. I think generally when I ride as well, I'm very conservative with my energy. I don't like, if you watch me ride, I look very smooth, even though I don't feel like I'm particularly smooth. I'm like, I've had teammates literally having a go at me going, "You're not even trying." I'm like, I wish you could feel what I feel, because I am trying my balls off, and like they're going, "Yeah, but you look really slow." I'm like, but I'm not. I just look it. Like I have a very kind of slow style in the way that I approach and attack the bike. Doesn't feel it to me, but it is from the outside. And when I watch myself from the outside, I'm like, I can see I can see why they say what they say. But it's just how I've been naturally. I was never taught that way as such. It just seems to be my natural ability is to ride a bike in a very smooth and almost a kind of old style, really. I guess a bit more of an old-fashioned style, but bit longevity and lots of laps have always been something that I've been really good at. I'm generally faster at the end of the race than I am at the start. I'm not particularly good at qualifying. It's something I've always struggled with my entire career. Probably doesn't help that I'm over 6 foot as well. I'm sure you can relate to that. It's it doesn't help for the absolute ultimate lap time, because a bit taller means you're a bit heavier, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to, as far as kind of having that slower burn, like race wise? Is it something just from childhood type of thing, or is it a mental thing?
I think it's just a natural thing. Yeah, I kind of get into my groove the longer I go. So
diesel.
Just keep chugging away. Yeah, exactly that. And I've done Le Mans 24 hours. I've done Suzuka 8 hours. I've done quite a lot of world endurance stuff. And again, going back, I can't do that one-off lap time that's super fast or half a second faster than the rest. But whatever my fastest lap time is, I can do it all race, and I just sit there, which a lot of riders can't do.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's just something that's been really strong in my career. Generally, the bigger races that I've got to, generally they're a bit longer, which is perfect for me, because the longer I go on, especially if I do qualify well, I'm always in for a good result.
Now, did you have any teachers? Like, did you have any coaches growing up?
No,
like, how did you?
Just my dad.
So your dad, and was he talking to you about body position and things of that nature? Where did you learn any of that stuff?
All just came to me. He never once said, "Oh, you need to lean here or do this or pull your head there," or he's like, he pretty much never ever pushed me. He just let me get on and like learn in my own way. And if I was making mistakes or he could see something that I was doing wrong, of course he would tell me. But I don't think I've ever had a conversation about body position with my dad ever.
I'm going to tell you right now, I would not even remotely be here if I didn't have coaching. Like my natural ability, my natural ways of riding before was just so different. That's remarkable, actually, to listen to, because you ride very efficient and you ride a lot like, essentially, when I look at pictures of you, like you ride like how we kind of teach, and that's hard to somebody
to teach it.
Yeah. So
and I'm guessing it's probably because for whatever reason I naturally had that ability, and my dad saw it, which is why he never then had that conversation with me, because he's helped out a lot of riders, not only British Championship but also World Championship at Grand Prix level. He's coached, like rider coach, as well as been a mechanic, so he's dealt with a lot of riders. So I guess he must have seen something from an early age where he's thought, well, he actually is doing it already, so I don't need to say anything. He was not a pushy parent. He wasn't one of them parents at the side of the track waving me on or telling me I got to go faster. Like, we've never had that conversation.
And was your father's style, or do you ride like him? Or
no, I think he was loose.
Oh, wow.
He was loose as, I think he learnt more after he stopped. I've spoken to a few people who raced against him, and they were like, you didn't ever want to be. He was the person that you didn't want to race against.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So do you think a lot of even hearing you say, like, business wise, it sounds like obviously you've done quite well or doing quite well business wise. Like, it sounds like a lot of things that you took the opposite from your dad, maybe.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, and I've got really good friends around me. I mean, James knows Daz, my best mate, and part of the business even being started was because of Daz. It was him kind of going, you need to think about, what if you do go and hurt yourself properly next week, and and you can't race anymore, like, what are you actually going to do in the future? And all of us racers, we don't ever really think too far into the future, do we? We're not that breed of person, I don't think. It's not in our nature. But he was somebody that was like, you need to probably start thinking about what you could do if you needed to, or what's going to happen when racing stops, because it will stop eventually, whether we like it or not. I'm going to hang on to it for as long as I can. But having the right sort of people around you as well, I think has been a big thing for me.
Now, when you decide to go do something like the Isle of Man, your dad obviously was risk adverse and not even wanting you to ride. So how do you have that conversation when it comes time to say, I want to go try ride on the roads?
Yeah, so once I did start racing and started riding, there was always one condition, and that was you never ever go road racing. My dad actually won a Manx Grand Prix as well, so he's raced the TT course. He's finished TTs. He's been there and done that. Again, that sort of time in the 70s, it was just the norm.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the circuits were dangerous as,
Yeah.
you know, so he was always like, nah, if you ever go road racing, then I'll kick you out of the house and I'll never talk to you ever again. When I did decide to go to the TT, I was 27, so obviously I was an adult.
Yeah.
I've been racing 1000cc bikes for 10 years in British Championship, so I knew what I was doing. You know, I was well experienced enough. I think they knew something was wrong because I took my mum and dad out for dinner to tell them. So they knew something was, something wasn't right when I was going to take them out for dinner. I think they thought maybe I got a girl pregnant or something, but it wasn't that. It was me going to the TT, and do you know what? They took it a lot better than what I thought they were going to take it. I expected, a bit of a backlash, and actually they were both kind of like, well, if that's really what you want to do,
Yeah.
then we'll support. You know, and they come every year. They're always at the TT. They actually love the TT. It's probably their favorite event. I guess they love it and hate it in the same equal measures for obvious reasons. But they're there for a month. They go a week earlier than the TT, and they leave a week late.
Wow.
Just because they want to be there and they love being on the island. So.
So your first ever, what made you decide it? I'm trying to get your timeline. So 27, what were you riding in British?
So I'd just finished riding for the GB Moto Honda team.
Okay.
And I was actually without a ride for 2014. I'd been to the TT actually.
Okay, so this hits my timeline.
Yeah.
This is what I remember because when I think of you, when I came into British, you were really struggling, to race and to do everything.
Yeah, and like teams wanted lots of money, and I didn't have lots of money, and even the people asking for money were not even great teams. They were like average, and they wanted £50,000 plus to race for them for a year, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'd had my fair share of paying for it, and I'd managed to be paid a tiny little bit from GB Moto in 2013, which meant I could actually stop doing so much work and try and concentrate on racing a bit. I finished 11th in the British Championship, so not horrendous in 2013.
And the Honda wasn't...
And the Honda was not strong.
It was not.
Back then, it was not the bike to be on.
And you had some good results on that.
Yeah, not too bad. I was inside the top 6 a few times, and we were a privateer team as well, so I thought we did pretty well. And I could not get a ride for the following year for less than £50,000, and that was on an average bike and an average team again. So I've been to the TT and watched for the first time in 2013. Just literally flew over as a punter, went and spectated for a few days and came home and loved the place. And then I guess that kind of like triggered a little trigger inside me that said, maybe you'd be all right doing that. I did some laps on a bike while I was there.
Parade or?
Yeah, no, I didn't do it on fully open roads, so just normal roads. Borrowed my mate's bike and went for a few laps around. And I actually understood a lot of the course. And I used to play the PlayStation game as a kid, the PS2 game.
Yep.
So like from 2004, would it have been? Something like that. It was a well old game. But I played it loads as a kid. And it was fairly accurate. And I remembered a lot of it from being a kid without I didn't even think about it going there. But when I got there and started, I actually jumped in the car with Dave O'Johnson to start with. And he was literally, as I got to the TT paddock, he was going out in his car and he was like, "Oh, Hickey, what are you doing here? Jump in the car. I'm going for a lap." So I just chucked my bag in the back and off we went. And I remembered quite a lot of the course just from the game, even though I'd never been there before. And then I guess that was really probably the trigger that said, well, if I remember all that without having to try and learn it, if I actually put my mind to it, I'd learn it no problem at all. And with everything else that was going on and not getting the ride I wanted and not having anywhere near that sort of money, I had a lot of debt at the time as well from racing. My good mate Paul Shoesmith, God rest him, I'd spoken to him a little bit, I'd spoken to the TT organiser a little bit, and we ended up coming to a deal for me to go race at the Northwest 200 and then the Isle of Man TT, all in 2014.
And it seems like people sometimes go to the Northwest and the Isle of Man because it has a lot of the teams, for whatever reason, well, one, it has a ton of spectating. Two, it's like massive,
Yeah,
right? So
huge.
like, but it's revived a few people's careers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like it's not like if they start struggling and they go over there, they almost get BSB rides to then ride the TT and the Northwest.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me. You know, I went to the Northwest. I finished 9th in my first ever race, right behind Guy Martin, who was a huge name at the time. He still is a huge name, but at the time in bike racing, he was massive. I finished literally a bike behind him in my first ever road race, and I was like, "You're done if I can keep doing that."
Yeah.
You know, I can.
Could you understand him?
Yeah, he's from near me anyway, so yeah, he lives like half an hour from me. So I yeah, that Lincolnshire twang, I kind of understand it, even though I don't sound like it myself.
No, it's super fast.
Yeah, very fast. Yeah,
Yeah.
misses a lot of words out.
Have you listened to him?
Yeah, I watched
Dude.
it. I watched it. Was it a documentary or something that had him in it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like
You
him
need
and his
subtitles.
dad. Yeah, 100%.
Dude, I don't know what he says.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a really good Northwest, and then I went to the TT, and I became the fastest ever newcomer in the 107 years as it was at the time history of the event. I did 129.1 mile an hour average lap in my first year.
It's crazy.
Should have been 130, but I caught a yellow flag and a back marker and a couple of bad places, and yeah, unfortunately didn't quite make the 130. But it wasn't even a target to get a 130. I just went to enjoy myself. I just wanted to race bikes and enjoy myself, and it not cost me an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
You know, I still paid a bit towards the Northwest in particular. TT helped out with TT, helped get my boat across and stuff like that, which, you know, it's a grand or two just getting your motorhome across and back. So through Shuey and through the TT, they kind of looked after me, and TT didn't really cost me anything, and Northwest cost me a few grand. I was quite happy with that. But off the back of that, I suddenly had people, you know, I could not get a ride in BSB, but after the TT, there was lots on social media going, why hasn't this kid got a BSB ride? Why hasn't Pete got a BSB ride? You know, he's obviously a good rider, da-da-da-da-da. And I think that put a lot of pressure on maybe even the organisers a little bit, because they started ringing me going, oh, there's maybe an opportunity we can put you over here and help out a little bit. And I never had any of them phone calls before. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never had any of them phone calls before that. So, you know, it really did kind of change my career. And then they put me in the RAF reserves team.
Oh, yeah.
So I took Simon Andrews' ride, who unfortunately passed away at that Northwest 200 event, right in front of me, actually. I actually had to ride past him. But, yeah, I ended up riding his bike, and I was top 6 straight away on it, and then won a race at Cadwell Park in pouring down rain that same year. So I went from 0 ride to winning my first ever BSB race and becoming fastest ever newcomer at Northwest and TT. All of a sudden, it was like next level. The team decided, well, we all decided as a team to go to BMW the following year. I got podiums at BSB. I became the 8th fastest rider ever at the Isle of Man TT, actually with a broken back and neck and punctured lung, which no one really knew about because I broke it 3 weeks before.
Doing what?
Ulm Park.
Oh.
I crashed at Ulm Park in 2015 in the pouring down rain. FP2.
Where at?
Over the top of Clay Hill, through the next left. I had a
Oh,
massive
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
So I broke my back in 3 places, my neck in a couple of places, punctured my right lung, and broke a couple of ribs. And I rode the TT 4 weeks later.
Now, as a newcomer, you don't get paid, right?
No.
You get no prize money or anything?
You get prize money, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I finished in my first year at the TT, I finished 8th in Superstock, and I got prize money for the first time in my career.
Oh,
Is
wow.
it good prize money?
For 8th, not so much, but I think I got. I'll have to think about that. Probably about $1,000 for 8th. I was. I was absolutely over the moon. Yeah,
Wow.
I was well over the moon. But I finished 14th in the first Superbike race, and I got some prize money for that. Then I finished 8th in Superstock, and I finished 11th in the senior in my first year. So I earned prize money in all 3 races.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So
I come away with probably $2,000 or $3,000.
Okay.
Which was like unbelievable.
Yeah. So, and just, we kind of always do this, but let's just roll back. The Isle of Man TT, it's 37 miles?
37 3/4.
37 3/4 miles. You race how many laps, and you have 2 pit stops, right? Or 1?
Yeah, 2 pit stops in the big bar races. So there's a roughly 260 corners.
Okay.
Roughly. I haven't actually counted. But
And you get
there's about
sent
that.
off minute? Or
Every 10 seconds.
every 10 seconds?
Yeah. The big Superbike races are 6 laps long, so 226 miles. 2 pit stops. So you do 2 laps, pit stop, 2 laps, pit stop, 2 laps at the end.
Tires? Or
Just rear tyre and fuel. 24 litres, that is.
And the visor?
I actually don't. A lot of riders do, but
Yeah.
obviously, like what happened with Michael last year, that's the reason I don't.
Okay.
Is it can go wrong. So I generally run a lot of tear-offs. And because I've been tall my entire career, I'm really conscious about being under the screen all the time.
Yeah.
And if you look at any photographs or video of me at TT, I'm always under the screen more than the majority of the riders. So it means I get less flies.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I put an extra tear-off on. I have 3 tear-offs. And
That's it?
I do 3 tear-offs. And
What?
I do the entire race on 3
Dude,
tear-offs.
have you saw the windscreens on these things?
Yeah.
They're absolutely
they're
fucking
covered.
shattered.
Yeah.
They're shattered after the race.
I do the whole race on 3 tear-offs, yeah.
Fucking A.
So I do the last one this side, which
Yeah.
is like... Because sometimes as well, obviously,
Emergency.
you pull 2 by accident,
Yeah.
and then you are knackered. So
Yeah.
so I always have the last one on the right-hand side. But I normally try and make the 2 laps without even taking a tear off and get the guys to do it in the pit stop.
Rip
And
a
then
tear
they
off.
take 1 tear off, and I do another 2, and they take the last one off, or second to last one off, and I've still got a spare,
Okay.
just in case there's a big bug
Have
somewhere.
you ever had an issue?
Not yet.
Great.
Like a massive butterfly or something like?
No, I have had sometimes the tear offs have come off by themselves, even where I've like caught it on the screen or something and ripped them, but I've still managed to get to the end of the race without a problem so far.
That's insane. So when you look back on that, do you think you would have made that leap had you been in a paid ride and doing well in BSB? Like,
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. It was never ever on my radar to go road racing. It just wasn't something that I was interested in it because I always listened to the radio and I always found it phenomenal, and it was going really probably in 2013 even without a view of riding it, that probably was more kind of like, actually I really like this. And like I don't see the danger. As everyone, one person's safe is another person's dangerous and all that, and we all race bikes, so we know our what we think is dangerous is different to what the majority of people in the world think is safe or dangerous. So we definitely have a different view on things. But I really don't see.
You're not scared at all.
No, I'm not scared of it. Like I know riders that have been there and done like mega fast world championship riders that have done a practice session or 2 and gone, nah, I can't do it. Because they're just seeing the danger everywhere. When I ride, I don't see any of that. I'm just on the course and I'm doing this. I'm just riding.
And probably your style helps with that, being super
being smooth.
flowy and
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah, absolutely that. And I think being bigger as well, being taller helps. Someone like Lee Johnston, who is really small,
Yeah.
super struggles on the big stuff. The big bike takes you for a ride otherwise.
Yeah, I can imagine that. You don't have and even just lean angle wise, right? Like you can stay on top of the bike a bit more.
Yeah,
when you're
a manhandle thing around because when you're doing 5th and 6th gear, like 180 mile an hour turns, like when you're trying to change direction, the bike does not want to change direction. You have to force it. So
now for people that don't know, when you're riding the Superbike, are you on a full-blown World
Yeah.
Superbike? Is it as fast as, or do you look for reliability, or is it as fast as you, like, are you at that level?
So you could actually run a World Superbike. So you can actually run a MotoGP bike in the senior. So the senior rules are any bike that's
Spoiler
not
alert.
that's not supercharged or turbocharged and not over 1,000cc.
Okay.
So you could actually run a MotoGP bike in the senior race.
That thing would not be good.
Nah. Yeah, we're way too stiff and all the rest of it. Yeah, and we're too fast actually to a point. But like, to be honest, our superbikes are like, I take my BSB bike. So
Okay.
it is a full blown
So
superbike.
no electronics.
No. And even on the stocker, I turn the electronics off because I'm so used to riding without it that I don't ride well with it. To a point. I could do if I take my time. Like if I spent a few days doing it. I went and raced in the Czech Republic in Most when Van der Mark was ill in 2022. God, it's so hard to ride that bike. It's not hard. It was easy, but hard because it was so easy. Like, I pretty much got my elbow on the floor in like a first gear hairpin, and the guys are going, "You need to hit 100% throttle." I'm like, but my brain's telling me no.
Yeah.
But that's just they're off the brake and they're on full gas right on the side of the tire. It's a very different way of riding to what I've ridden pretty much my entire career, really, without the electronics. So when I go to TT, I take the Superbike because that's what I'm used to, and on the stocker, I generally turn everything off.
And do people run electronics?
Yeah, some people do. Yeah, you can do it, particularly on the BM. That's obviously quite technical anyway.
Yeah.
There's different zones and all sorts you can run, so you can get out the traction in certain areas or whatever you want to do. Obviously, you got a lot of jumps at the TT as well,
That's what I was
which
wondering.
can throw the electronics out. But with the BM in particular, you can kind of teach it what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, you guys run like the split throttle bodies and stuff somewhat.
I generally don't. I know Davey, my new teammate, does.
Yeah.
Quite a lot because you can hear it.
Yeah.
It's not something I like. It takes too much feel away from me. I'm all about the feel. I pick the throttle up really slow. Like I know even my teammate last year, Josh Brooks. I mean, he's a class rider. He's smooth. You wouldn't say he's a snatchy throttle person, but when he picks the throttle up, he's probably 7-8%, which is most people. I pick up at 1 or 2%. So like I pick up really slow. So I never like the split throttles because it just feels like I don't open the throttle. I pick it up and then like nothing happens. I nearly go through the screen. So it's something that I don't really use a lot of.
And so you mentioned Davey, like obviously he's kind of really, made huge leaps, especially on the roads, right? Last year. 2 years, I guess. What do you think when you see something like that where a guy like it just like clicks? Because he's been doing it for a little while, no?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, he won 2 races last year, which was the Superstock race and the senior race, and it was his 5th year at the TT. My 5th year at the TT, I won the Superstock race and the senior race.
Okay.
So he's on the same sort of trajectory. He got a podium, I think, a little bit before me. He got a podium a couple of years ago, which must have been his 3rd year, obviously. I didn't get a podium till year 4, although I should have actually podiumed even in year 2. It didn't quite work out. You know what racing's like.
Of course.
Never quite goes the way you want it to. But I was in podium positions both in my 2nd year and 3rd year and didn't get them. So through one reason or another, generally not my fault. But hey, that's just the way things go, isn't it?
Yeah, but so you think just more of a time thing, like it's just you need some reps more or less.
Particularly at the TT, it's so complicated and that you need so much good luck as well. Not only good preparation and good team and good people around you and a good bike, you need a lot of luck. You can have all that, and if you don't have the luck, you're still knackered. It doesn't go your way. It really doesn't go your way.
Do you think that there's like when you look at the TT and you look at that you have the lap record, do you look at the 37.3 miles and go, dude, there's more time? Like, is there a lot more time, or are you on the limit? Like, do you ride at 100%? Can you?
Yeah, but it's a different type of 100% because you don't push the front like what you do here. Yeah. Like, we're riding harder here than through the corner than what we do at the TT. But also the TT is made up of a lot of really fast corners, and the way to do a fast corner is do it slowly. Yeah. You brake a little bit earlier, you get off the brake, you grab the throttle, and you drive through it. Well, that's an easier style of riding than short circuit where you've got to be, if you brake early, you've got 5 people coming to the inside of you. Just doesn't work like that. So you brake late, you tuck in the front going in, you like get the thing stopped, get it turned and fire it out. You don't ride like that at TT. You could do, but you'd be slower because you're going to have, them big fast corners. You can't ride like that.
Yeah.
Well, you can ride like that, but it'd be slower. Mm-hmm. So the 80 to 90% of the course is that big, fast, flowy style where you're not really pushing the front at all. In fact, the front tire would probably do the whole 2 weeks on Superbike if you wanted. We do change it, but you don't have to. Like, it looks brand new after 6 laps.
Wow.
Because it's all on the rear.
And do you change your BSB bike for it? Like, the setup, is it
not a lot.
Wow.
Not a lot.
That's insane.
Maybe a spring rate lighter, maybe front and rear, and then we generally lift the bike a lot because of the big compressions we've got. When he's trying to get the engine off the floor, we actually hit the engine on the floor quite a lot.
I know all about it.
Some of the big jumps and stuff. So
no bagger. We drag that some bitch on the floor.
So apart from that and the Dunlop tires we put on it, the bike's the same bike. Literally is the same bike.
That's crazy.
How hard is it for you to go back and forth?
Hard.
It is.
Yeah. Do you know what? I find going to the TT quite easy. And this is what was interesting with Josh. Just Josh Brooks was the opposite. He struggled going from short circuit to TT, but as soon as you come back to short circuit, it was mint fast straight away. I go from BSB to TT quite easily. When I come back to short circuit, I'm still like... just... Normally we go to Knock Hill as well, which is like... I go from the biggest circuit in the world pretty much to the smallest. It's
like to where
tight
you need...
Nadgery and And you're so used to doing 180 mile an hour plus at the TT for 2 weeks. We go to there, we don't even get to 180 mile an hour for 1 second. We do maybe 150 mile an hour over the start line. So I hit the brakes into turn 1, and I'm thinking, I'm going too slow. So I let the brake off, and then I get to the corner, I'm going way too fast again. So I'm like, it takes like a few sessions, a couple of days literally to get my head back into it.
Yeah, I always wondered that, like what, because you on the track, you don't really have things like that close to you peripherally. I mean, BSB tracks are a little bit tighter than here, but I would imagine like your vision is probably the hardest part. Yeah, is that the case? Like as far as like the speed discrepancy.
Yeah, definitely. It's a visual thing that you really have to get yourself into. You just feel like you're going too slow all the time, even though you're not. Like I know where to brake, and yet my brain's still telling me, "Oh, you're going too slow." So then naturally you let the brake off, and then you're going too fast. But by the time you're going too fast, and you get there and you realise it's too late. So I really kind of takes me a couple of days really to get it back into it. I have actually gone from TT and then finished top 4 and qualified 4th at Knockhill before, so I can do it.
Yeah,
just takes me a while. I feel unnatural when I come back.
Now, when you race the TT, do you have a lap timer? Like, do you
Yeah.
do you have like a predicted that you can see? Because I know you
No.
guys have pit boards out there, and kind of how do you manage that race?
On pit boards.
Yes.
That's it.
So
there's no predictive time on the dash. We do have a delta, and sometimes the lap time will work, but there's that many trees about. The GPS really struggles anyway. Sometimes it works, but it's not something I'd look at or focus on anyway. And a lot of the time, the GPS can be wrong because it's been faulted by all the trees and stuff. So, but it is on there if we want it, and it has been pretty accurate in the past. When I did my lap record lap, like as I crossed the line, the lap time actually came up with the correct lap time. And I remember looking at it going, well, if that's even close to being right, then that was fast.
So did you know without that? Did you feel?
Yeah,
fast?
I knew it was pretty fast. Yeah, I had a little bit of a dig just to see where we'd end up. I knew we would be in the 36s.
So when you say you had a little bit of a dig, do you think there's a lot more?
Yeah, there's more. Yeah, I went faster in a lot of the sectors last year than what I did in 23. Just I didn't put them all together on the same lap, and then the lap that I was probably all together, I ended up slipping off on. So which was not part of the plan. Yeah. But if I'd finished that lap, who knows? It might have been. We might be talking
slipping
about
off. You crashed?
Yeah, I crashed. Yeah,
I remember that.
I don't remember that.
I crashed at Ginger Hall. Yeah, so a real kind of second gear corner, so not mega fast, probably about 78 mile an hour, fast enough. Really off camber corner,
Wow.
big bump in the middle of it. I actually relaxed off a bit too much. Funny enough, with the Dunlop tyres, you got to load that front.
Yeah.
And I didn't load the front enough and kind of chilled out a little bit. I got an 8-second gap over Davey. And I'd pulled 6 seconds in 2 sectors, so I was like,
yeah, I can
strong.
Chill. Yeah.
So I got my pit board and was like, I need to just, I took a lot of risks to do that. I pushed really hard in places where I knew I could have a good go to try and break a bit of a gap, and then was like, right, I've got the gap, chill for a minute. It's a numbers game, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's only so much risk you can take. You can't risk all the time because you won't survive. So I've gone so far, and the daft thing was I ended up falling off through chilling out, not through having a good dig at it. But hey, that's the way things go.
Is that your first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been close, and like I've had the odd thing here and there where I've been like, ooh, that could have been.
Yeah.
Or I've had like out the seat moments and stuff.
Yeah.
But never actually gone down until last year.
What goes through your head in that moment? Obviously, that's a slower section of the track, but
slower. But I kind of knew what was coming. There's a big wall on the right hand side, and I lost the front for what felt like forever as well. I knew it was coming, which was like the worst thing ever. But I actually stayed on the bike as long as I could, and I was trying to pick the bike back up again. Which was always never going to happen, but you try, don't you? And I knew I had a bit of time, and the thing was, if I'd let go straight away, I'd have hit the wall flat because I actually lost it really early. Whereas by staying on it, I actually made more of the corner by hanging on. So then when I did hit the wall, I kind of glanced off it a little bit more. I literally got to the curb, fired the bike away from me. The bike hit the wall, and then actually just caught my chest with the rear wheel as it kind of came back, but it didn't hurt me. I didn't even get a bruise off it, so I think I judged it probably about right.
And the curb, you're saying that it's just actual like it's a
proper
sidewalk.
Curb. Yeah,
for people, it's not a curb.
Yeah, no, sorry, it was a sidewalk. Yeah, so I hit the sidewalk and then a concrete wall the other side. Yeah.
Wow.
It had an air fence on it, so it wasn't so bad. It was cushioned-ish.
Yeah.
At 80 mile an hour, it still feels pretty concrete.
And so did you have to race again that day?
No, it was the last day. It was the senior.
So this year, you go okay.
Yeah, so the last time I rode at the TT, I fell off, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah.
So we need to put that right.
Yeah. Does that weigh on you at all?
No, I know what happened, so it's not so bad. If I crashed and had no idea why, or if it was because of a stupid mistake. I mean, that kind of is a stupid mistake, but it was not really. If I'd been riding like how I should have been riding, I'd been absolutely fine. It was just the fact I didn't attack a corner enough.
Yeah. When you say like there's certain spots that you can push on, is it because those are spots where you feel like you're more comfortable taking the risk, or they're just spots where you feel like you've got some in the tank?
Yeah, are just spots where I feel like I've got some in the tank, and I don't generally use them unless I feel I have to or want to.
And it's a race on you with other people.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you're not. Are you ever like on the starting line? Like, I wonder what Dunlop's gonna throw it, or whoever it is.
Nah.
No, you can't.
Think
race
about
like,
me.
You
Yeah.
can't.
Think about me. It's about you and the track. You can't. Yeah, and then wherever anyone else ends up, they end up like. Obviously, I've got my pit boards. I don't know who it is that I'm ever racing against, but the idea is to get to your first pit board somewhere inside the top 3 with minus and plus 0, which means you bang right there. I mean, ideally it says plus.
Yeah.
P1 plus 3, and you're like, oh, mint.
Yeah. And have you ever missed it?
A pit board.
Yeah, like have you ever?
I think I've probably gone past a pit board where the pit board man's not been ready.
What?
Yeah.
Bro, you got too much time not to be ready.
Yeah, but a lot of the time they kind of have them quite close to the thing, and if the internet's not working properly and stuff, they don't get updated fast enough. So, or sometimes the timing system goes down, like from an app point of view. So I've had it where they've put the pit board out just with nothing on it, and that basically means sorry, I haven't got enough information to be able to tell you correctly. So they'd rather give you nothing. But that's few and far between.
How fast have you gone? What's the norm? Like, what's the fastest ever top speed?
Top
there?
speed?
Yeah.
Josh actually has the fastest top speed recorded at Sulby, which is 206.99 to 207 mile an hour.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Does it feel fast?
Yeah, but it feels the same as 190. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really feel any different.
Yeah, once you get over like 160, I feel like it's
It's all the same.
until you try to slow down. But
Yeah, and like we actually slow down to a first gear right-hander at the end of that. So whenever you sit up at the end of Sulby, you shit yourself, because every time, it doesn't matter how many times you do it, and I don't care what anyone says, every time you sit up, you think, no way. There is no way I'm going to stop for that corner, because you can see it, and it's just a wall, and you've got to turn right. It's a 90-degree right, yeah.
Is there any brake markers or any?
Yeah, for there is. There is in the odd spot, but in that one in particular, yes, there is. But you come through the kink at 200. So I think my fastest is 202.5 or 203 mile an hour, and you got to go through the right kink at 200 mile an hour, and then you hit the brakes still on the side of the tire. So you're kind of half and half.
Holy. That's insane.
And you get like fired out to the curb, which is where all the people are as well. So like you literally like aim at them at 200 mile an hour and then hit the brake. It's proper.
What's like the craziest thing you've seen somebody on the side of the track doing? Have you like,
do you notice it?
Yeah, I notice all sorts.
Have you ever seen anybody just like?
Yeah, my friends and I've seen all sorts. Yeah. I've had my friend show me her tits as well. Yeah, which I loved. So thanks, Sarah, for that.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. I was actually leading the race as well. It was on the last lap, and I kind of came through the corner. I knew where they were, and I did a big wheelie for them, and. Yeah, she lifted the top up as well, which was like,
that's so rad.
That is like the coolest thing. It's so like motorcycle, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it doesn't get any
that's such a biker thing to do.
Just have a beer wait at the finish line.
I did. I had a Guinness.
They also say like if you ever break down or whatever, you just walk into the nearest pub and
generally, yeah. If you haven't got another race later on, then
you just hang out.
Yeah, why not?
That's so. It's such a different world.
I did after I crashed.
Oh,
I crashed.
really?
I crashed at the pub. Basically, so
That's what I read. Yeah.
Yeah. So I walked back, and obviously there was a lot of fans there, and I got kind of hassled a little bit. But I was trying to like tell
hassled.
Yeah, as in people wanted photos and
Yeah.
like just to chat. And obviously, I was not in the nicest of headspaces after just crashing out the lead of a senior race, and after I had a fairly bad TT last year as well. Anyway, so things did not go to plan for me at all. So I was a little bit angry, and people are like, "Oh, it's all right, can I have a photo?" And I'm. I never say no to anyone anyway, not very often anyway. So I was very polite, obviously. And the guy, actually, the landlord in the pub was the guy who come and got me. He was like, mate, come here, I need you to come this way. And then he just took me in the back room, took me away from everyone. And he actually gave me a pint of water first. And he went, do you want a Guinness? I was like, yes, I do. Yeah. So he ended up bringing me a couple of Guinnesses in the end.
They say, though, that they breathalyze everybody before they start? Yeah. Everybody gets...
Not everyone, it's random.
It is random.
Yeah.
Because I thought
But they can just pull you at any time during the day even.
Okay.
So even if it's the day of a race, they can just call your name over the tannoy and like you have to be there within half an hour.
Has anyone gotten popped?
I would think so. Yeah, I don't actually know of anyone. I know there's been a few drug things as well because we get tested for drugs a lot.
Oh, you do on the TT?
Yeah.
In the BSB, I never once got tested.
Everybody at TT gets tested. Everyone.
For
mandatory for everything, all sorts.
Oh wow!
Literally the whole lot.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, it's good. It should be more common practice everywhere, in my opinion. But yeah. At BSB, I've never been tested.
Never. So I was never tested.
No, 19 years in Superbike, I've never even been asked to pee in a bowl.
Yeah. That's insane.
When you're doing the pit stop, when I struggled with this at the 200 last year, when they do that tire change, like, do you have any second thought ever, like on your
on the wheel?
Yeah,
no,
just any of it, just like mechanically speaking.
No, I haven't actually. No,
you do. You're like
the first half lap when I rolled out of pit lane.
Did they tighten it up properly?
Well, they're doing your fronts too. You know, I mean, obviously that's a little bit different because you're not so worried about your brakes. But you know, I don't know. Fuck, it's like, did they? Especially when you're in a rush like that in the 200, when it's like, you know, do you guys have a time that you have to spend in the pits in the TT?
Nope.
It's as quick as you can
fast, yeah, but normally you're governed by fuel because it's not a dump tank like what it is at the 200 or endurance racing. It's gravity fed off a gun, so the fuel takes longer than the wheel.
So they know it's going to take X amount of time.
So like we don't even have proper quick release. It's a normal Superbike rear end setup. They use a speed brace. They don't even use a gun. Takes them 20 odd seconds. It's fine. Like the fuel's kind of 35, 40 seconds plus.
And is that the fastest fuel you can put in?
Yeah.
Everybody's on the same.
Everyone's the same. So they're all governed. Yeah.
So okay. So do you get like? Will they give you a different fuel on the day of?
Not different fuel, but
jug.
Yeah, different filler. Yeah.
Oh, so it's okay.
So it's on a proper filler. You put your fuel into the filler, and then it's all gravity fed.
Wow.
And you can only top it off with, I think, 5 litres after. Like, so once you've been in for your pit stop, obviously the trick would be, because it's gravity fed, put more fuel in, because then it pushes it down faster. But you can only top it off with, I think, 5 litres.
And there's somebody just checking that all the... Wow.
Yeah.
Dude. Who would have thought it was like...
Oh, it's like super, like, on the ball.
So
that's really interesting. So that's by design, though, then?
Yeah.
That they want it to be slower.
No, but one last thing, on the TT, do you run the same tires? Just stock Dunlops, or are they specific TT tires?
No, they're the same as what you can get for short circuit. Yeah. So back in the UK, it's like an MS1 front tire, which is the softer option, and then an MS0 rear tire, which is a soft option. And if you were racing in the UK, like club racing or whatever, because obviously you can't use them in BSB, you would be offered MS1 fronts and MS0 rears. Yeah.
And is it same sort of pressures? I'm just fascinated by the speed.
Low in particular on the Dunlops.
Yeah.
What about the rears? Do you see big rises because of the speed you're going? Like
not so much. No, temperature probably in the center, and we get lots of chunks of rubber sometimes coming off.
Really?
Not just Dunlop, but all tire brands have the same problem. Northwest's actually more than the TT because Northwest
they're hammering. You guys that's crazy.
Hammering, and we do a lot of straight lines at Northwest, and there's a lot of jumps. So the rear wheel comes off the floor. The wheel obviously spins up faster because you're on the gas, and then when it hits the floor again, it rips the tire. So there's normally more problems at the Northwest with tires than there is at TT.
It's like I guess Daytona has so much G-force because of the banking, but you'd think that you'd have
it's only on Supersport though. If it's on a Superbike, I'd understand it a bit more.
The bagger.
That's what I mean.
The bagger, to be fair,
I would have thought you would see more or need a different tire for the TT because that's why they don't ride the Superbikes at Daytona, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it?
Now, so the rain and stuff, that's... How do you... Dude, how the fuck... Did they make sure the track is dry? Like, how... So is it... And then I've heard manhole covers are not... Like, are they race paint? Or are they okay? Do you hit them?
There isn't really many manhole covers around the course anyway. We don't ride if it's wet at all.
At all?
Yeah. If there's a section, maybe... If it's practice and there's a section where it's like 1 or 2 corners, they might say, right, the rest of the course is dry. Here's wet. We're going to put it under waved yellows. There'll be the lack of adhesion flag out. Take your time. Because obviously we don't have any wet tyres.
And you can't see the track.
No, you can't see the track beforehand, so you've got to be like nice and steady on your first lap through. But this is where experience comes in, because you learn how grippy certain areas are or aren't, and how fast they dry or don't dry. Yeah, I've done some races where it's been like damp-ish in sections, and they've still let us race with no warm-up lap, because obviously we don't get a warm-up lap either. Normally at the TT, so you're straight off from 2 days, or a day off. You normally have a race day and then a day off and then a race day. So you've had like 48 hours off the bike, and it's like all of a sudden you've got to be on lap record pace if you want to win. And
Wow.
I've done races where it's been like, oh, it's damp and like here and over there. And you get like a board. So as you roll up to the start line, there'll be a board on the left-hand side, and it will tell you everything about the course. So you've got to remember.
So you have 10 seconds or 8 seconds to remember?
Probably a little bit longer than
Okay.
that. Yeah, it's a bit further back from the start line. So as everyone kind of lines up, there'll be a big board there, and it will say damp patches here, here, and here, if
What?
that's the thing. And you've got to remember it.
Holy crap.
Because they don't always, if it's not properly wet, they won't flag it, especially not in a race.
And then how do you get seated for that lineup?
Yeah, so that goes on lap times from your previous 2 years, generally, for that class.
Average?
Yeah, fastest lap, generally.
Okay.
So technically, I could start number one if I wanted to. I don't like starting number one. I don't like to be the first person down the road after the road's been closed for an hour or so. You know, all the birds and rabbits and everything all come out because they've had no noise for the last hour. So I generally do not like going. Even in practice, so the top 20, which are all seeded, they start in any order that you get to the line. And I've started first before, and I hated it. I always thought I'd what I wanted. And then when I got it, I did not like it at all. Like, yeah. So ever since then, I'm quite happy with my number 10. They try and keep all of whoever is the favourites like away from each other more than 10 seconds. So Dean's kind of around 2 or 3. Michael's always 6. Davey's been number 8 recently. I've been number 10 for a while now. So they won't ever put us any closer than them 20 seconds, so that we can't see each other. Because once you go off the start, in particular, when you get down to Quarter Bridge, which is only about a mile and a half in, once you turn right, you could actually see the next guy just peeling into the next thing. Normally, it's particularly if you're on fast. So they always try and keep us away from each other.
Because they don't want you battling?
And they don't want somebody to have an advantage, because generally the person behind, if you can see, obviously gives you a bit of a spur on. So they always try and keep them away from each other.
But do you guys always catch the minute board, your 10-second guy? Like the favorites?
Generally, yeah, I have done, particularly being number 10 for a while. And being obviously one of the fastest riders, there's at least a few people in front of me that I catch.
How hard is that, like planning a pass?
Hard. Depends where you catch them as well. Yeah, because sometimes it's in a bad place.
Yeah.
To be fair, when I fell off last year, I rolled literally as I fell off, or just before I fell off, I'd rolled. But I also could see I'd caught Josh.
You caught Josh.
Yeah, I'd caught Josh. He was the next person I had to pass, and I was going to catch him in a really difficult place, which is through after the Ginger Hole section. You go all the way to Ramsey, and it's super bumpy and super fast, and you use all the road, like one side to the other all the time, generally trying to keep the bike straight because it's so bumpy and bouncing around. You like stand up out the seat, a bit like a motocrosser, and just let the bike move around underneath you, but in top gear. So to try and figure a pass out through all that lot is hard.
Yeah. Is there like a I don't know, unspoken way of that? Like, like if somebody knows you're showing them a wheel,
yeah. The thing is, if someone's caught you, they've caught you by at least 10 seconds, so they're already in front of you. So if you hear them, generally speaking, everybody lets the person pass. But a lot of the time you can't hear. Like through that section, he wouldn't have heard me.
Yeah.
Like no way, because it's just too fast. Because he's already flat out himself. So
and the thing's just bouncing off the limit.
yeah, of course it is. So he wouldn't have. He would definitely.
No,
wouldn't
it
have
sounds like a jet ski, bro.
it's insane.
Dude, like they jump and it's just fucking
Jumping out of the water.
dude. Dude, it's fucking crazy. Have you seen the onboard of the dash?
Oh,
The
I have,
fucking
yeah.
dash
Yeah,
is
it's just like
it's
off
a
the
fucking disco, bro. Crazy.
But yeah, so I would have caught him in a really awkward place. So it'd have been interesting to see where I could have passed.
That's
What's the biggest discrepancy, like from like a lapper, for example?
Yeah, just even lappers are hard sometimes because you don't quite know where they're going to be. They're not necessarily going to be on the same line that you are or where you think you should be. Not that anyone's perfect, of course, but yeah, there's been a few times I've caught bite markers not bite markers, slower riders. It's tough.
But in terms of, so like you're the fastest guy, what is the slowest guy? Is there like a cutoff like in a normal?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I can't actually remember what the percentage is. It's not a lot though. Maybe 110%.
Okay, so similar.
Yeah, so the faster that you go as a front runner, then the harder it is for the guys at the back. But they've cut the numbers down quite a lot in recent years. So like when I started TTs, there was 70 starting the big bike races and 80 in the super sport races and stuff like that.
But it gets cut down.
Yeah, now it's been cut down to 50 starters in Superbike and
So-
60 in Supersport.
So when you qualify, but you get cut from a show.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah. If you're
Wait, there can be 50 starters?
Yeah.
Wait.
For Superbike, yeah.
On the track at once?
Yes, on the track at once.
Oh
yeah.
my! I
It
didn't.
used
know
to be
that.
70, but it's now 50. Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't realize it was that many people.
Yeah, they cut them right down now. Yeah.
Who are they? I don't remember. I don't know.
There's a lot of people who just go and do it though, like
yeah, there's loads of people.
Thing,
yeah, and a lot of people are just amateurs that obviously can ride a bike pretty good, so that they've managed to qualify and do the entry. You know, the entry criteria is hard to get. You know, you've got to be an accomplished rider to be able to get an entry. So, it's been. I think the TT's done pretty good. They get a lot of slating here and there from a lot of people, particularly people that have been in the sport or watching the sport for a long time. People don't like change.
Yeah.
They hate change.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a schedule change in the last couple of years where we do more races now as well. So, like, we do 8 races now. So I've got 4 different bikes and I do 2 races on each bike, which is a lot anyway.
With no warm-up laps.
With no warm-up laps, generally.
Insane.
And the TT's had a good slating for it from the older generation that just don't like change.
Yeah,
like, it's
of course.
been this way for years, and why can't I've got to change it? And
So when you talk about financially the TT, is that your biggest payday of the year?
yeah,
Always.
yeah.
What is that? I mean,
I get a fee for turning up for start money, or not me actually personally. It goes to the team. But
You are the
depends.
team?
It depends on the rider, yeah. So depending on what riders you have riding for your team, and obviously for me, I run my own Super Sport and Super Twin in my own team, and now 810 Racing, which is me and Davey, we actually own the team as well. So I'm actually riding technically for myself the whole time. But there's a nominal fee for the riders, and then obviously there's prize money on top of that, and endorsements and all the rest of it. So. I think on prize money wise, the actual prize money as well has gone up in the last recent years.
nice.
Yeah, so the last 2 years the prize money has gone up, which, like, when does that ever happen?
Right.
So
Yeah, but I mean, dude, they're
yeah,
they say that that the TT is the highest watched event
oh yeah, it's
of
massive.
motorcycle of 2 wheels period in the
Like,
week. Right?
So as a one-off event, it's bigger than F1
wow.
as a one-off event. So
That's
F1's
crazy.
bigger as a
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
but as a one event, TT's bigger. It is massive, yeah. Which is over 180 countries now as well.
Yeah. And the coverage, I mean, the coverage is getting better, but it's not like there's like at least in the US, it's not like you can't turn it on ESPN and like watch it. So
Yeah,
you gotta
not-
really go look for it, which is
Yeah,
tough.
you got to look for it, which is obviously on TT Plus right now, so you can actually watch it
Is there
live.
a live stream?
Yeah, live stream. Yeah, for the last 2 years now,
TT
it's been
Plus.
live. Yeah, TT
Perfect.
Plus is absolutely
But
mega,
it's-
and it's like $30
It's nothing.
for
Is
2
it?
weeks. You
Yeah.
can watch
I'll have to
every
look into
practice
that.
session, every race, and if you pay for it right now, you can watch all last year's, the year before,
Wow.
Like, it's good.
It's getting there.
How do
It's
they
really
cover the different guys? Because there's
Hard work.
That's the hard part, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
so they
there's-
have 2 helicopters now. Obviously, the circuit's massive, nearly 38 miles round, and obviously the bikes are going fast. But each year, so they started the TT Plus in 2022, and each year they've added more cameras. They started with 1 helicopter. By year 2, they had 2 helicopters. Pretty sure they're probably talking about running 3 now. They put more and more camera posts all the way through. They basically keep reinvesting the money that they're making from your 20 quid, which is about $30 odd dollars, $25, $30. They're reinvesting it straight back into it to make it bigger and better again. And the event is literally skyrocketing at the minute. I mean, it's had, in the last 3 years, it's had over 400% growth.
400%.
400%.
And you know those numbers.
Are big.
Yeah.
yeah.
It has been, like,
I mean,
massive.
dude, when they just play the one like, ooh, like just on Instagram, people are just like creaming. They're like, dude, how do you do that?
Is that what you attribute it to? Is social media stuff mostly?
I think
or?
I think a bit of everything. I think TT post COVID in particular changed a lot of what they had going on for the better. You know, we have a proper even for the people that are there, we have a proper fan park now with DJs on and bands on, and it's a festival kind of vibe, and it's really kind of turned TT around. You know, I mean, you got to move with the times. As much as the people don't like change, like you only survive with change. You can't stay the same. Not for an event that's been going as long as TT has.
And the thing is, though, they can't bring any more people to the island.
No, I mean,
it's just stacked. Like you can't get. I remember when we went.
what's the capacity limit of the island?
No,
So
dude,
there's
I'm
only
dead
8
serious.
yeah,
you
there's
can't stay anywhere, bro. You're sleeping on a fucking like somebody's yard.
There's 80,000 people that live on the Isle of Man, and last year was the highest record since they've been recording it in the way that they're recording it now. Is the highest attendance ever at TT. There was 46,000 visitors over the 2 weeks. So not huge numbers.
Yeah.
But considering the island only has 80, it swells by 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, there's like no hotels.
Yeah,
there's
there's-
nothing.
there's
Everything's
not-
booked
Yeah.
for like
We should- we
years.
should-
It'll be
get like
booked
a-
now for 2026.
That's our next
100%.
business. We should get a cruise ship or something. We'll just anchor a cruise ship right off.
Yeah, right off. Hey, it could be the way forward.
Dude, it's not like
Looking for
Monaco.
investors.
It's not like Monaco, bro.
We can turn it into it, dude. Why
Dude,
not?
let's go, baby. You'll be there fucking crazy.
THR yachting.
Yeah.
I like it. Sounds good.
Yeah. We'll run it, baby. Boats and hose.
That's amazing. Well, we got our segment here. You also recharge your battery segment. Obviously, I mean, I can't imagine the mental fatigue. I'd have to think it's like riding in the rain, but on steroids after a week of that, man. But what do you do to recharge your batteries when you're all dead, done with that?
Normally, I really struggle to recharge my batteries because I have to go straight to a BSB event the next week. So I don't even go home normally. I normally go from the TT to the next BSB race, which is usually Knock Hill. This year is going to be different. We've actually got a weekend off in between, which is nice.
Nice.
And strangely enough, I might go to Ibiza.
Oh.
But you can chill at Ibiza as well as party.
Just a little
Yeah,
rave.
yeah,
Just a
yeah.
little
You
rave.
can do a little bit of both.
Keep the party going.
But yeah, I generally spend a couple of days extra at the Isle of Man after the race. So
You do?
Yeah, the main race is on the Saturday. The final race, the senior. Generally speaking, I kind of stay for at least 2 days after. I don't normally leave till kind of Monday or Tuesday.
What are you doing?
Chilling, absolutely chilling. Normally there's a big party on after the final race, of course, which I normally can't even stay awake for. The mental kind of exertion that you've had for 2 weeks is, and obviously, and also emotional, because like TT is like that for all the good and bad reasons, So that definitely takes its toll. It's not very often I've made it past 1 o'clock that night. Sometimes, but not very often. I'm normally in bed by midnight because I can't keep my eyes open because I actually need to sleep. But after that, just kind of chilling and taking in the island, go and eat some ice creams, chill out, and enjoy the place because it's a really beautiful place. It's a cool, very different island to the rest of the world. I always think.
Yeah. Have you been?
Yeah, I've been. Yeah,
I've never been. I want to go so bad.
it's really cool.
It's a cool.
I've
place.
never been to the actual TT race.
That's what I mean.
I went to the. I've been to the island, man, a few times, and I went to the pre-event with Keith, with Mercer, the one. One time. That was wild.
I think it always conflicts with something that we've got on our schedule. But I've a group of people. I think the guys from the Classic Car Club.
Oh yeah, I do.
Phelan
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So I lived with Phelan.
Oh no way.
Last winter or 2 winters ago now. But yeah, he had put together a trip with you, right? You guys kind of did something.
I did something over here, and they came over to the TT as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was dying to go to that, but I think we had a race or something
Typical.
Same time. Jim, you want to shut that window? You're getting cold.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's do it. I thought it was the AC.
No. Forgot I had
It
it
has
open.
suddenly got cold, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What time is it?
It was about
Quarter past
40
seven.
last night.
Dude, it was 36 this morning.
It was freezing this morning.
I know. When I got here last night, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not riding.
Yeah.
We
But
set
it
off
warmed
at we were in Daytona, so we set off at 4 a.m. this morning.
So I was gonna do that, and then yesterday I had to do a Harley meet and greet,
Oh yeah.
and my girlfriend took my truck, and I rode with Kyle, my teammate, and my fucking key fob. She's like, "Hey man, it says no remote key in the truck," and I'm like, "Oh shit." So we had to do a big we had to drive back, give her the key and all that. So like, anyways, after that, I'm like, hey, I gotta go tonight because I know as soon as I wake up at 4 a.m, tire, some bullshit's gonna happen. And I'm like,
yeah.
So
We thought about coming last night, but again, when there's
Dude.
14 of you, to try and find somewhere to stay for 2 nights, so it's suddenly double the money, obviously.
Yeah.
And
So how are you getting around? I wanted to ask you that.
just hire cars.
Even for all the stuff, you just got like a Sprinter.
I got an Enterprise truck.
U-Haul.
No, I was going to go U-Haul. Enterprise was cheaper.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wait, you Enterprise what though?
Enterprise
Commercial.
truck.
Like a
yeah,
U-Haul?
commercial truck. Yeah, like a U-Haul,
Okay.
A
but
box
yeah,
van or something.
just
Wow.
Enterprise on it.
And just one.
It's got green on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I just got one of them, put the 4 crates in, and turned up here.
Now, I wanted to ask you about the Isle of Man thing. Family wise, you don't have a wife or a girlfriend.
No,
nothing?
I have a girlfriend, not a wife. Although she likes to call me a wife, or I call her my wife.
I know how that goes.
And then obviously I have my parents go as well.
She was doing it for so long. I finally had to propose.
What do you mean you finally had to? You did it.
I did it. Yeah,
This guy,
we got proposed last week. We got engaged last week.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Dude, but sorry. Side note, bro. When I first saw her today, I'm like, yo, where's the ring at? And she's like, oh, I don't have it on. I'm like,
What?
Dog?
What?
Like, dog, I'm just blowing her in right now. She's gonna be so mad.
She's so funny with it. I think she cleans it like she's got like the thing, like the solution you put it in. She's like cleaning it every night before bed. I'm like, I don't think you have to do that, dude. I think you could do it like once a month, maybe.
Yeah, that'll fade.
Probably. I'm sure she'll lose it soon enough. It'll be like if you lose it, you're not getting another one. But what I wanted to ask was, going into that event, like, is there a lot of stress that you feel from your family going to that kind of thing, or like, you're pretty good at like, compartmentalizing that?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at switching off to all that sort of stuff. Yeah. In general, actually, like I've had this argument with people saying about my work even as well, because I'm trying to run a business and race. You know what it takes to go racing, to then have a business and think about people's wages and jobs and customers and all the rest of it at the same time. It can be hard, but I've always been pretty good at I turn up to a race weekend and I'm like, I'm racing. That's it.
You don't take phone calls?
I don't take phone calls. I don't answer WhatsApps. I don't answer emails. Nothing. Like, I literally just like, my phone doesn't exist on a weekend unless it's to do with racing. And then I answer everyone on a Monday. Yeah. Simple as.
That's awesome.
Nothing can be that urgent, right?
And in the TT, do you have somebody, because I know you said Dazza is like pretty big in your shop, but he comes with you though for the TT and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the guys do.
Does the whole shop shut down for over a week?
Yeah, so Daz doesn't work at the shop.
Oh, he doesn't?
No, he helps out where needed, but he's full-time employed by the team, which has obviously been FHO for the last kind of 4 years, which has just changed to 810 Racing, which is me and Davey. So yes, I need to pay his wages now as well, unfortunately. So
810, you own it.
Yeah, me and Davey own it together.
But you pay his. So you
together. Yeah, we're co-owners. Okay. Yeah, 50-50.
Okay.
So trying to take charge of our own destiny a little bit. Yeah. It's a bit different way of doing it, but I think it's I think it's gonna be really good.
What is that? How does that? Sorry to pivot from there, but how does that? When you make that decision, like, and then like, how do you raise? You must have some support, because like to raise a budget for BSB and all that stuff is pretty. It feels pretty late when you guys announce.
Very late.
Like, and I know you've been with Fo for a while, like previously, and the BMW stuff. So how did that all transpire?
Lots and lots of different reasons, but some changes needed to be made. I've been with FHO for 4 years. It's been fantastic. We've had good times, bad times, as you always do in racing, but overall it's actually been a really positive experience. But last year in particular was really hard work for lots of different reasons. A lot of it out of our control. It's just the way it is sometimes. But I felt like things needed to change. Faye felt the same, really, to be fair. So kind of to a point mutual. Maybe not quite, but wasn't far off. We made the change, and I think it's for the positive. Sometimes the change is as good as anything. And Davey, although he wanted to join the team, because of the people that I have around me as well as myself. He wanted a good teammate and he wanted good people to work with, and that team has all come with me away from FHO. So he was like, well, I want to do the same then. So then it was like, well, how are we going to do it? Are we going to do it 2 individual teams, or do you want to try and make one team together? And he was like, well, I'm up for making a team together. So BMW also had a massive part in all of this. We're both not necessarily contracted to BMW, but we kind of are. And they want, they're super into the TT in particular. Of course. It's massive exposure for them. And they were really, really keen on having me and Davey in the same team. So we felt that the best way of doing it was that we co-owned it. We have full factory BMW support, as factory as you can get nowadays without it being the factory. It's not like it was back in the day, is it? Yeah. But without them, we definitely would not be able to be doing what we're about to do. Not all the budget is secure. There's still some things going through the final processes, of course. It's not easy. But then a lot of the sponsors that were at FHO were my sponsors. So a lot of the sponsors you saw on the bike, generally I brought.
Okay.
So all of them sponsors have kind of come our way anyway. So we had a leg up for a start.
Yeah, so
we didn't have any material, so we don't have any bikes, we don't have any toolboxes, we don't have a unit, we don't have a workshop, we don't have a truck, we don't have.
So you're not going to work out of your PH?
No, because it gets too messy and a bit like again, this is where confusion with FHO and PHR. People always thought that everything was running out of nothing ran out of my workshop because it's too messy. Like, who owns that spanner over there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I thought Dave had it. Well, I thought Daz had
Yeah.
it. Well, it's too messy. So we always kept everything absolutely, completely separate. So there was never any confusion of who owns what or why or how.
And it's not messy when you leave.
Exactly. So when things like this do happen, there isn't I used that toolbox is mine, and that there isn't any of that because there's nothing at my place.
Yeah.
So it's dead easy. So I have another unit somewhere else. It's still in Louth, funnily enough. So we're going to probably run out of that, I think, because I already pay the rent on it. So
yeah,
we may as well just work out of there.
I was going to ask, how does that work with? You said you're obviously tied in with BMW very heavily. How do you get to come do this with Triumph?
With great difficulty.
I was gonna say because
politics.
You ride the twins different too, right?
Yeah, the twins and a Yamaha R7. Yeah,
with support.
What is that like?
No, not really.
No.
Yamaha helped a bit. I still bought it, but I bought it a bit cheaper than most people would buy one.
Yeah.
But I still bought it. You know, they didn't give me anything as such. They were still really good, to be fair to them, but still, I still had to buy it. The Triumph's a little bit of a different deal. I'm a factory supported rider from Triumph. It can be a little bit difficult. I always thought it was really easy to ride a Triumph because Triumph don't make a superbike, BMW don't make a super sport bike.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, well, this is really easy.
Yeah.
Like, you're not in competition with each other on these bikes, but neither of them really see it that way.
Yeah, of course.
Particularly from the road side, because they compete a lot on the road market.
Yeah.
So it can be a little bit difficult, a little bit tricky. There's obviously no superbike race here. If there was a superbike race here, I'd be on a BMW. But because there isn't a superbike race here and there's no BMW factory race that they can be in, then they're okay with me riding the Triumph.
Wow.
And they understand that for the roads, it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
Like, anyone rides more than one class and more than one bike. Like,
and if BMW made it,
if they made a super sport bike, I'd ride their super sport bike. But they don't.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I still think it kind of works because the Triumph don't make us.
And is that why you first started with Triumph on the Supersport side of things?
No, it wasn't actually. It was because of Smiths. When I rode at Smiths, they were a massive Triumph fan anyway. They were the official Triumph team for years.
I raced against them. Yeah. Fucking dogs.
Yeah. So they always had the love for Triumph. And even though they had BMWs, they wanted to keep running the Triumph on the road. So when I signed for Smiths, that was just a normal thing. And obviously we were not a factory team back then. So it was fine. You know, I could ride anything I wanted.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't make any difference.
You got to be one of the few people in the world that are multi-factory athletes.
Yeah.
Riders.
Yeah. Got more than one cap.
Few far between. It's cool at least they let you do it though. I mean, I think it's probably pretty.
It's good that they're amicable enough to let me do it as well, because it could be like. It can be awkward sometimes, but overall they're both been pretty good.
Well, it's got to feel good too to be in a position where you can force them to do that, where it's like they need to have you because you're
a little bit, I suppose.
You know.
Yeah, I've never really looked at it that way, but yeah, I suppose it is.
How do you budget for? So do you have separate budgets for the BSB, the TT? Because you're running your own super bikes now for the TT.
Yeah,
your own.
Yeah,
team?
so 810 will do everything. So BSB, Northwest TT, but only big bikes at Northwest TT. PHR will run my Super Sport and Super Twin.
Oh, okay. But how do you? But it's the same, but technically not. But what? How do you budget for a season that massive?
Great difficulty.
Yeah.
And do you do all that yourself?
Yeah.
Or do you have people?
Wow.
Yeah, not so much from the 810 side because we got Darren managing the team and he obviously knows what it takes and what kind of budgets are where. I mean, I know a pretty good figure of where we need to be per round and all the rest of it, but he kind of takes care of most of that. Everything else is through me and obviously Davey with the 810 team.
What does it take, just out of curiosity, because knowing Moto America wise, what does it take to do like a BSB season in Superbike?
Yeah, not far off $1 million for a 2-rider team.
£1 million.
Yeah.
So what is that in the US?
Probably 1.4.
Yeah, about 1.3-ish, I would have thought, yeah. I think it's about
That's
1.1 in it.
Yeah, okay. So
yeah. That's a 2-man team with a hospitality unit, goes to all the rounds, so that's 11 rounds, and testing and stuff on top of that.
I mean, it's you need, put it this way, I think a super sport program is almost double that in America.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
have a lot of travel though as well.
Yeah, but Andy's talking about a hospitality unit.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
We don't. Nobody does hospitality.
Yeah.
and you probably have.
So why is it so expensive? What's the
travel?
Just the travel?
Yeah. Well, so for example, like our tractor trailer to roll, just to leave and roll out of the shop is $60,000.
Ouch.
That's without paying anybody else.
Yeah.
Like no driver, nothing. It's $60,000 for insurance, registration, and fuel.
Yeah.
So you start there, and then you know how it is flying
and work upwards.
yeah. Well, flying. Every one of our flights is basically like it is for you to get to.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
So you
US
do that
is so
for
big,
for 18 people or whatever it is for the season. Yeah, I mean logistically, it's I think $500,000.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
So do you, when you say you do your BSB team, just say it's whatever, $1 million deal, what are you all in on the BSB, or do you reserve like money and support for?
No, again, if we're going to do it, we do it full ball.
So everything you do.
Yeah, 100%.
And would there ever be a time where you'd be like, you know what, BSB is not like it? The roads is worth it, or did they go hand in hand? Like, how do you go to say Lou Electrical or whatever and go, you get this
for BSB and this
but,
for
how does it not just wrap into one at some point?
At some point it does, particularly with certain sponsors, but also we have certain sponsors that are like, no, I'm just interested in BSB, and then there's other ones that are like, no, I'm just bothered about the roads.
Okay.
So, but we try and appease everybody one way or another, and we try and do, or what we have been trying to do is make it into a bit of a year thing, because it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
If a badge is on clothing for one and not for the other, then you got two lots of clothing, and it just becomes hard work.
Yeah.
And more expensive again. So we generally try and kind of tie everyone into some sort of deal that includes them everywhere, but maybe they're more prominent here rather than there.
So what do you wear at the TT? You just have like a split down the middle,
pretty much. Yeah. I've been the last few years. I've always been in BMW clothing, or FHO clothing, to be honest, which has been more of a Faye thing than it has anything else. Obviously, I have my own Trooper clothing as well. I sometimes wear some of that, but generally, I've always been in my BMW stuff just to keep camp happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really interesting. I mean, I can imagine it's probably quite tough and a lot of clothes to pack.
Yeah.
It's
just politics again, isn't it?
It's just, how do you find all the space? Because it seems like the TT guys, like I know this is just for the 200, right? But for the TT, you'll have quite a few more logos on the helmet. And whatnot.
Yes and no. I try not to logo my helmet up too much.
Dude, I was gonna say this looks pretty good. When I look at Glenn Irwin's helmet, I'm like, holy shit, dude.
How do you do a paint design?
Exactly. There's no design. It's just sticker bombed.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, so I'm the same. I don't like it. But I also I'd rather not take a sticker for a couple of grand.
Yeah.
I'd rather wait and get a good sponsor at 5 to 10 and have only a few of them to look after rather than having 20 at 2.
Yeah.
And it's a different way of thinking about it. It's also really hard to turn money down.
Yeah.
But also, unless it's the right deal, it also devalues everything else.
Of course.
So the people that you do see there are getting maximum value, and they've put the right amount of money in. And I've not got a sticker next to another one that one's putting 2 in and one's putting 10. Like, they're all decent, and they're decent companies that I work with. I try not to deal with hard work people or shit companies that sell shit products. And I'm not into all that. I'd rather work with companies that are good and I get a good kind of rapport with and can actually advertise the product properly. I'd rather not advertise something that I don't actually believe in.
Right.
I mean, if the price is right, maybe, but I'd rather not. Genuinely, I'd rather work with companies that I actually go, I really like that. Like my Bremont watch deal that I've had for a few years. I actually don't have it anymore, but they're a great company to deal with, and like they're British. They brought watchmaking back to Britain. They're making watches in Britain. They're making their own movement in Britain. I love the whole story. I didn't even get a massive amount of money out of them, but I like the whole story and the ethos and what they were doing and why they were doing it. And I'd much rather do that than just take a big check just to try and sell some cheap Chinese watch.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna have a meme coin? Little pump and dump. This guy.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask too. Like, just looking at how we've got like this CX Global, like a company like that. What do you do for them? Like, what is the return?
It's more what they do for me. Actually, they help me out loads. They do exhibition stands. So for like if you go to a big bike show or a car show or I don't know, dental show or whatever it may be, they can build the stand to whatever you want. And with my PHR Performance shop, they build my stand for the NEC, the big UK bike show. I mean, we have pretty much 100,000 people go to that show. Also the MCN show in XL. We have a good kind of, I can't remember how many people come there, but it's only a 3-day event. It's a lot smaller, but they build my stand for me, all them, and look after it and logistically take care of all of that. All I've got to do is turn up with my bikes and merchandise and myself.
And so,
so they really look after me. Yeah.
A lot of these companies are actually relative in some shape or form.
Yes, yeah. Again, it goes back to that. I want to work with people that, it swings both ways.
Yeah.
It's not all about cash all the time and how much cash you can get out of it.
Yeah, of course.
All right, that's great to a point, but it's, you need to work with people.
Yeah. No, I've always, because you'll see, I don't know, I feel like some of the guys have their local plumber on there, or
Yeah, that's that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but
but
BSB, or I just use BSB, but England in general, the tradesmen are very, how do I say it, very into racing.
Yeah.
There's build base, like Smiths, construction
Yeah.
areas, like a ton of I don't know what the word is, but the trades people are pretty much the backbone. I always said they're like the backbone of BSB.
Yeah.
They run and sponsor more people than the big
blue chip companies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's I've always said, if we were able to somehow tap into that here, because those types of businesses are huge over here.
Yeah,
I feel like we should call up Donnie and get maybe a motorsports tax credit thing going.
Let's go, baby.
You could double deduction if you sponsor a road race team.
I love it, dude. I love.
Go ahead.
Circling back a little bit on the hospitality, because I was always fascinated with BSB hospitality. Absolutely fascinated. One, the food was awesome, but having a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And them bringing 2 Arctics or semis for here in America, having it across. What is that? Do you sell the people on an event like a guest or a fan? I know you got sponsors, partners that probably come in and eat, but do you treat it more of a business with that, where you sell a package and they get lunch and some some champagne or whatever during the race?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
A little bit of both, and to be honest, it wouldn't survive without both. Up until recently, we've not been actually able to sell tickets for BSB hospitalities up until 2 years ago.
Really?
You couldn't actually sell it to the public, but we can now.
Wow.
As a team, which has definitely helped to some degree, because we race now on a Saturday as well. It's a full VIP day, so you can obviously charge a little bit more. We give our guests a really good kind of. The last kind of, obviously I've been with FHO, but the hospitality team, originally the hospitality team was mine and the hospitality unit was mine, and I rented it back to FHO.
Really?
So actually I owned it all. So we got a really good crew together. There's about 7 people in it, and it's mega, and it's known in the BSB paddock and even now through quite a lot of the fans to be the best.
Really?
I'm not just blowing smoke on my own arse. It has been classed as the best kind of hospitality out of everyone. And we just try and give that personal touch to everyone. We always do a riders chat in that. It's hard work for us as riders in the middle of the race day. But we always do at least 10, 15 minutes, have a chat, talk to everybody. People can ask questions. We have photographs. We have signatures with everyone. They get a certain amount of the people that are in there. They'll do almost like a raffle draw to go to the garage. So there'll be quite a few people that actually get to come into the garage,
cool.
And either me or the other team member, which will now be Davey, obviously it was Josh last year, do the talk for them. So one of us does one day, one of us does the next day, and we'll talk them all through the bike and how the garage works and how the team works, and literally go through everything. So they get much more of a personal experience over it all, as well as having top class food and champagne and all the rest of it.
When did you start buy your hospitality rig?
I bought it in 2019.
So, okay. And was it the idea to sell it or for your personal, hey, I wanted to eat?
A bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feed the team.
I felt like I was with Smiths at the time, and Smiths obviously allowed me to do it. It was their team, but they let me buy the hospitality and kind of run it as theirs. So it had Smiths all over it, but it was mine.
Okay.
I wanted to get bigger companies involved.
Yeah.
And the bigger companies wanted to bring guests.
Yeah.
So where do you put them?
Yeah.
Well, you can put them in another team's hospitality because you can pay to go in someone else's, but all they're going to do is try and nick your sponsor. So for me, I felt like the only way to do it was to do it ourselves, and we could also do it in a very different way. So a lot of the hospitalities, as you know, will be buffet styled. We didn't do it buffet styled. We did sit down at your table. So like it was like a restaurant.
And
you had the table for the day. No one else used your table, because that happens a lot as well, where they
Yeah.
turn people over. Like you got your table for an hour and then someone else is there. We don't do it like that. You book your table and you book your table for the day.
Huh.
So it's done in a different way.
What do you charge like a public person
It's about £200 a head
for the weekend,
for one day.
for one day?
Yeah. So obviously, if you've got 2 days, we generally do the Saturdays a little bit cheaper, like 175,
With
200 on the main race day.
with entry to the race? So
Yes.
that's just separate.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that gives you an entry ticket for the weekend.
That's
So
cheap.
dude, that is so cheap.
I think it's cheap.
It's
Dude,
super cheap.
and so what? They get a meal. They can drink.
Yeah. Alcohol from midday, as much as they want within reason. And yeah, and 2 meals. And then obviously garage tours included. They get the rider chat
Holy
included.
smokes! And how many seats is it? Are you 2 trucks in with the middle, or just
we've
one?
actually done it with 1 truck.
Nice.
And everything in 1 truck is a little bit tight and difficult.
Wow.
And maybe I have to change this year. I don't know yet. I'm trying to buy one at the minute, but trying to find the right one is hard work.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can generally seat about 80 to maybe 100.
That's so
Okay.
cool.
So
Wow.
you can, and on top of that, we also sell hospitality to a lot of the other teams, but for team feed. So at the end of the day, after all the VIPs are gone, we'll then feed like a lot of the teams, and a lot of the time we've had 70, 80 people in there from other teams.
Wow.
But a lot of the smaller teams that haven't got
Yeah,
time
yeah.
to make the food or whatever, and they can just come to us. It's like 15 quid, and they get a full meal, a beer, and a dessert.
Really?
So yeah, so it's not
15
even yeah,
quid?
so it's cheaper than going out to a restaurant anyway.
Dude, going to the Premier Inn, I mean, I would get a mixed grill, dude.
Yeah,
It'd be
it'd be more
20
than
pound,
20 odd
babe.
quid, yeah,
You
exactly.
can't do it.
Yeah, so we can do it as a cheaper rate, and it's there at the thing.
So how do you actually make money doing that?
We all adds up. I mean, the hospitality costs just over 10 grand a round to run, so it's expensive. So 11 rounds, 110 grand plus. You got to buy one and
Fuel.
there's all.
I would
Yeah.
expect it to be quadruple that though.
No,
cost-wise.
it's not so bad. I mean, it's getting worse at the minute because food prices have gone through the roof, fuel's gone through the roof, and all the rest of it. So it'd probably be a little bit more. It might be 12 grand around this year. I would have thought to actually
That's
run
insane.
it
Yeah.
without owning it and all the rest of it. But yeah,
Where the fuck do you put all this shit?
I know. Yeah,
Like, where do
I
you-
take over Louth.
Like, where do you? Well, I'm just trying to think of like one semi running that amount.
And your
then-
trucks are bigger here. Your
Yeah,
semis are
yeah.
massive.
Yeah, but like, where do you put like? Because I remember Milwaukee or whatever they are now. Sean Muir's and like, dude, there's like no room in those hospitality
They're,
rigs.
they're small, right?
Well,
Yeah, they
because
are
it's just all like they're
Yeah.
just all pans and
Yeah.
yeah. I remember Steve, dude. He was a legend chef.
How many miles is a tour, like a season for you guys?
Not many.
Dude, it's not.
That's a
6,000 maybe.
Yeah.
6,000 miles.
Yeah,
Dude.
To do the whole season.
whole season.
You
That's
just-
Northwest TT and full BSB.
That's unreal.
You do that in about one round, right?
Well, I mean, to go to New York to California, yeah. I mean, 2,000 miles.
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
for our to get here from California.
Yeah.
And then you go right back, and then you go
Long ass
you
way.
come back again to go to Alabama.
Yeah, so you've already done more than what we do in 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we've got to be 8x.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm trying to. I'm like, I want to get a hospitality rig, but I mean, and also, I mean, I think I don't know, if food's more expensive, but I would have to think like just staffing it. The whole
Yeah.
thing would just be.
Hard work. Yeah.
I don't
I
think
think
it-
in Europe you go like food
Ah,
in
we're-
general in Europe it seems to be quite a bit. Less
Yeah, and obviously we wholesale it anyway, so like you're not buying 20 steaks, so
Yeah,
you're buying
yeah.
200 of them. So yeah, everything's cheaper when you buy in bulk.
So do you get like? Does a food truck show up to the BSB?
Yeah,
race?
but yeah, so it comes on the Thursday. Yeah,
see, yeah,
there's
that
different
would-
companies, so
yeah.
you choose which company you're going with, and you order what you want to order, and they just turn up with the truck on the Thursday. And obviously, we can feed our team as well, and it costs next to nothing then to
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
feed
Subsidising
our
everything.
team. Yeah, so we're subsidizing ourselves.
So
I
cool.
know. I love it. I love I'm so stoked you were able to give us a deep dive into that because I've always been.
People are gonna be like, I
No.
listened to this podcast to learn more about Hickey. We're talking about food trucks.
Food trucks.
Well,
yeah.
but it's fascinating when you go to a BSB round.
It's very
I will,
different,
I
yeah.
will say BSB has always, when I was there, that was one of the biggest things. I was like, Jordan did it right, but they didn't sell it. Like, they didn't,
Yeah, well,
it
was
was
a
just for the
different-
team.
yeah, it was a different
But
thing.
dude, our Jordan days was buffet, but it was
Mac and cheese.
Gucci. Gucci. We had an ice cream machine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And a popcorn
Hey, that's a
machine
good
too.
idea, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get an ice cream machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll ask Davey, see what he thinks.
So-
He's dairy intolerant, so that's no good, is
Oh,
it?
is
He's
he?
going to say no. He's definitely going to say no.
So do you manage that too, though? Like, are you like how?
No, I won't be. No, I have. So Darren's wife, Vicky, Sticky Vicky. She pretty much runs all that. She's actually out here. She's here with us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's not here in Roebling, but she's at Daytona. Yeah.
That's crazy. So how much time do you like in during your week? Like, what does a week look like for you then? With all
Mental.
this stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, mental. I do all my own merchandise and stuff as well. So I design it, I get it made, I ship it in. I have all my own guys at each round selling my merchandise. So it's, yeah, I've got loads going on. The Avali thing, as we touched on earlier, BSB, my own team, running young kids on bikes as well. It's, it's a busy. I don't like Monday mornings because generally Monday mornings are horrendous. Like my phone goes mental for 3 hours and or more.
Do you have anybody underneath you that like kind of helps you manage?
Yeah. So I've got people in the shop that are like managing the boys and managing customers and stuff. But a lot of the time, still people want to talk to me, which is fine to a point. But there's also only one of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do you struggle? Obviously, we've talked about. You've already mentioned doing things at a high level, but do you struggle to let go of things? Like, do you feel like you
Little bit.
micromanage a bit?
yeah. Yeah. It's hard to let go and not micromanage and like just kind of let someone get on. But that comes down to having the right people as well. If you've got the right people, you don't have to micromanage them. But yeah, I am somebody that likes to be involved and know what's going on and be like, oh no, actually, I'd prefer if it was done this way. But generally speaking, the guys now, they pretty much know how I would like things to be done anyway, so they crack on with it.
Yeah, hold the standard.
Pretty much.
Yeah. When you decide to make a jump, like go out and buy a hospitality truck or something like that, I mean, obviously that's a big financial commitment.
Yeah.
But what leads you to make that jump or make that move? Obviously, it's out of desire, hope to like grow.
Yeah,
but
to grow. Yeah. Like I say, the reason I did it to start with is because I wanted to get bigger companies involved. I wanted to get bigger companies to come and help Smiths, who was my team or the team I was riding for at the time. And I felt like them big companies only come along if they've got somewhere like that to bring their customers. And a lot of the sponsors we have right now, a big part of why they do it, not only do they like racing, they can also bring their customers along.
Yeah.
So it's a necessary evil one way or another. It's kind of a massive pain in the ass. It's a load of money, but also you only get the money by spending the money in that area. So it swings in roundabouts a little bit.
Does that come straight from your how do you?
Yeah, when I bought it was out of my own pocket.
Okay.
That's more or less what I was asking. Is it like something where somebody was coming to you like, well, if you can fulfill this need, then we'll do this kind of deal?
I guess it's chicken and egg sort of thing. I didn't actually have someone saying, if you can provide that, we'll be a sponsor. So I did it the other way around. It was definitely a gamble of kind of like, I'll try and see what happens.
Yeah.
And fortunately, like the year after, it kind of paid off because we got one of our biggest sponsors, 6-figure sponsor that wanted a lot of hospitality. And they had like 30, 40 guests every single round.
Wow.
So like straight away, it was like,
wow.
If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have got that sponsor.
Yeah. And do you sell the stuff on top?
Yeah.
So like this, they sponsor and then or partner with the team, and then that 40 guests is
and then depending on what sort of deal they want and what sort of money they're talking about, they'll get X amount included, and then anyone on top will be an extra amount, of course.
Wow.
How many fans come to a BSB round on average?
A lot, over 30,000 every round, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think the lowest one's like 36,000.
Nah, the lowest one's probably more like 20. To be fair,
Where at?
like Donington's and there's not some. Like Knockhill's actually one of the most popular. It's like 40,000. Yeah, Cadwell's 50, 55.
Cadwell
is 55.
Would you say they're the same fans?
A lot of the time, but not always. Yeah, there's definitely people that you see at every round that are like obviously hardened fans.
Yeah.
Again, it's not that far to go anyway.
That's what I'm asking.
Like the furthest from the shop, I think, is Knockhill, and that's 5 hours. And that's in one direction, and then the furthest south is like 4.5 hours, which is Thruxton. So like that is the two opposite extremes that we've got.
It's crazy.
It's not that far.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we drive 4 hours to go to my home track.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's nearly our furthest track.
Like, he drives an hour to go ride Supermoto.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
like, dude, it's insane. I mean, we used to just drive an hour to Brands.
Yeah.
Like it's you're like, I mean, it got to a point where we were flying to Knock Hill. Like I was driving there and we were flying there. It was like 4 hours. Like it was nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely, it's crazy. And the fans are, I've never seen, the only fan I've seen close to BSB fans is Harley fans.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a loyal fan. It's like the same energy and the same loyalty. Love you or hate you, they will fucking tell you. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you do like fitness wise? Obviously, you got
As little as possible. Hate the gym.
I was wanted you to ask this because
just with your schedule. I mean, I know I don't have as successful a business as you, but I have a lot of shit going on, and like that's the hardest part. Is like that's the first thing that goes to the bottom of the list.
It's actually the hardest part for me as well. Joking aside, I mean, I don't like the gym. I do go to the gym. I hate it, but it's a necessary evil, especially the older you get. Like obviously, like I said, 37, it's definitely harder to shift weight now than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Or to stay fit. Cycling is a big thing for me, but again, time. You need a couple of hours to go out and cycle. It's hard to find them couple of hours. But that's generally what I do. If I can do, is I generally do a bit of gym work and then cycle, because I'm generally strong enough anyway. I don't need to build muscle. I need to be lean and as slim as I can be to try and keep the weight off. That's it.
And do you struggle? Do you feel like that's a weakness for you at all ever, like fitness wise?
It's probably been my hardest thing that I battle with is weight. Really, never fitness. I'm always strong enough. I've never got to the end of a race and thought, thank God that's over. Like I've always been fit enough. It's more about the weight, which then obviously affects the lap time.
Yeah, of course. What do you weigh?
Generally, when I'm racing, I'm about 82 kilos. So what's that? 170 pounds, maybe?
No, that's definitely above that, buddy. Sorry.
I don't know. I'm not so good with the pounds and things.
That's how I know your bikes were fast.
Last year at the 200. What did you think you were? What did you say you were?
About 82.
What did you say?
I said about 170 pounds, is it?
Yeah, you're close.
Was it close?
Yeah, 180.
Oh, I wasn't. Yeah. 184.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my racing weight. I can go a little bit less than that, but then I'm go weak. I can't.
Do you?
Yeah, I can't hang on. Yeah.
Really?
So I've been down to like 81 kilos or 8. I've actually been just under 81 before, and I'm nah. I can't lift a pencil.
What so I know you do some cycling, as I've seen. Do you still ride a lot?
Yeah, I ride a lot.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I've already done 7 days in Spain on my own personal stocker, like before coming out here. And then obviously I've done a day here. I'll be riding it tomorrow. I'm doing the 200 this weekend. I'll go home and I'll be home for about a week and I'll be back in Spain again.
So who's like prepping the BSB program while you're fucking here?
Daz. So Daz was meant to be coming here, but because of everything that's gone on and like things are coming obviously very late, we don't even have a bike yet. We've got a chassis. An engine should arrive today or tomorrow, the first engines for the team. So he needs to then get the wiring loom in. So he's going to put the engine in, build some sort of rolling chassis, throttle bodies, airbox, and then go up to Scotland, see Goose, who builds the custom wiring looms for us. So he's going to spend a few days up there getting that done. Because if we don't get that done, it's going to knock us back like weeks. Because he's a wanted man, is Goose.
Yeah.
He's the best for doing wiring looms, and everyone uses him. So he's got a very tight schedule. So yeah, he's that's why Daz isn't here, and we've got his wife here instead. she still came out to come and look after all of us lot.
I love it.
Does that stuff doesn't come from Alpha then?
No,
BSB
not the wiring loom. No, because the BSB stuff is a bit weird. We all have to run the Motec ECUs in BSB. Which means the wiring loom's completely different. Yeah, nothing really kind of fits.
Okay. So with the Motec, then do you guys don't use any of the same strategies that the Motec, because it's Motec from BMW as well, and the Alpha,
no,
it's just different.
It's Bosch with the Motec dash.
Right.
So it's only the display unit, which is also the logger. We actually use the Motec ECU as well.
Okay.
Whereas if you have a BMW, generally you're on Bosch electronics.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So completely different strategies, completely different feel. And obviously the Motec could probably have all that feeling and all that, it has all the capabilities to do and everything. But BSB, we're not allowed it. No traction control, no anti-slide, no launch control, no anti-wheelie. There's none of them rider aids.
You just have EBC.
Yes,
right,
just EBC. And even that's kind of...
Can you do it per gear or no?
You can do it per gear, but that's it. You can't do it per corner.
Okay.
Again, it has the capability, but you're not allowed to use it.
When did BSB, do you know when BSB took the traction off? Because it must have been right...
2012.
It was right in your window.
Yeah, 2012.
What was that like?
different.
Like for everybody,
and
like the first year for everyone to just go, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly that. And everyone was a bit kind of lost. And yeah, some people got it right, some people didn't. And, you know, to say there's no electronics isn't quite right. There is still electronics, but it's just done in a very different way.
Do you think that BSB is so successful in their racing with so many manufacturers because you cannot use 130 or 230 brake horsepower to the tire? So you have to build a motorcycle that can be ridden on the tire. So like if a Yamaha is slower but is better on the tire,
Which
versus
it is, yeah.
which a Ducati has, or BMW arguably has maybe the most power, and you have to dumb them down quite a bit or different. Like, do you think why do you think at the championship?
I don't know.
I raced it, and I mean, 1 to 18 is a second and under the lap record. How do you?
It's mental, isn't it?
And every manufacturer is strong always.
It's always been like that, though.
I know.
BSB's always been like that. Even when they did have electronics, like barring the one year that Cameo ran away with the championship in 2009.
Airwaves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from that year, like the championship's always been solid and super competitive. Lots of riders, lots of good teams. I don't know. BSB's always been
You
so
think
strong.
it's the tracks? Like the tracks kind of keep everyone tight?
No, I don't think so. I think it's the motorsport history in the UK. I think we have such a rich history of motorsport. There's lots of teams there, and there's lots of people interested. So,
but it's like you can
look at the fans thing. Like I say,
Yeah.
between kind of 20 and 50,000 fans at every round for
Yeah,
11
it's insane.
rounds. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I just think it's insane that like there's no like all the years I was there, it was always tight.
Yeah.
Like there was never a standout. Like I mean, even when Shaky was winning his things, he was always in a hunt, and even though he was a favorite all the time, but was like he was not like just leading every session. And when I think all these other championships, you like have people that are just after the first round, second round, you're kind of like they're kind of the favorite. They're always there.
Yeah.
And BSB's just not like that.
No. Yeah, it's always been so. Like look back at the 90s, it was
crazy.
still really tight.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer for you. I don't know. I don't think it's the tracks. I think it's more of the history of motorsport in the UK. I think it's
just talent.
Yeah. Well, just teams, people, sponsors. Like it's all been about going racing.
It's a meat grinder. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you're coming into BSB, good luck. Like, if you're not from England, it's tough.
Oh man! And if you are from England, it's tough.
Yeah.
We do the Law Tigers Tech Tip. Law Tigers is a big partner of ours, obviously, and I know you are. Sounds like you're mechanical. I put together your first bike and and own a shop. What would your tech tip be for a guy? I don't know, maybe just getting into road racing, getting to the track.
You know what, the big thing for me is I always say the same thing: don't run before you can walk. And like the biggest thing with stuff like this is things like people think they need a superbike all the time. To go faster, I need a bigger, faster bike, and 99% of the time that is incorrect. It's the opposite. You actually need to work on yourself if you want to be a good rider and a fast rider, not get a big fast bike, because generally that actually makes you slower. So I've done quite a lot of instruction on track days and stuff like that back in the past. Not so much recently, but I have done quite a lot of it in the past. And it's always the first thing. Like it's always the guy with a superbike that thinks they need a superbike. I'm like, and they always say, "How do I go faster?" I'm like, get yourself 600. And ride the bike rather than the bike riding you, because that's all you're doing right now. You gas it in a straight line and then you're really slow through the corner, you know. And it's just about walking before you can run. People just want the next. They think the bike is what makes them, and it's not. It's all about riding.
That's a good one. I think JP had a very similar one, right? It's
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah, very.
Jimmy, you want to wrap it?
Yeah. So you don't listen to podcasts.
I'm gonna have to listen back to this one though.
No.
Make sure I don't sound like a douche.
No, you're fine. We didn't get too crazy in there. You good?
Yeah, no, I was just saying wrapping the tech tip.
Yeah, no, I'm good. What I don't know what you're asking me to do. 1-800 Tigers. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, finish the ad segment. If you or someone you know is ever injured in a motorcycle accident, always call Law Tigers first. The services are of no cost to riders, and they fight to get riders taken care of and back on the road. With Law Tigers, you never ride alone. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. Visit lawtigers.com. I don't know, Jimmy, do you have any other? I had a few other ones, but mostly just about, life after racing, I suppose. Like how long do you keep on going with this thing? Obviously, with the risks you're taking on the roads and whatnot. Do you see that being kind of longer in the wind than BSB? Is that like
at the moment? Yeah, at the moment. I don't know how I'm going to feel in 5 years' time, but as I sit here right now, I want to keep racing till I can't.
You want to go above 40?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I don't see that changing in the next 3 years at least. Anyway, but yeah, honestly, I can't tell you how much I love riding bikes. Like, it's the most amazing thing for me. It's escapism in its purest form, and anyone who rides a bike knows exactly what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you have got going on in your mind or in your life. Get out on a bike, even if it's just riding up the road. It's like the most freeing thing, isn't it? So I just love riding bikes. I can't ever see myself stopping. Obviously, I will have to at some point, but hopefully, no time in the next 40 years.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that for sure. And do you have? I asked obviously if you had a significant other, but do you find that you're waiting for that chapter of your life to be done, racing chapter to be done, to move into that, or is it something you think you could do both of?
Yeah, I don't know. I've not really thought about it too much. The most I've thought into the future is the business, really, just to have some sort of income once I can't race anymore. Everything else in life, I don't know. I've not got that far. Not really thought that far ahead.
Does your business? Do you put money in on your business? Like, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the business owes me a lot. Yeah, at the minute, the business hasn't made that much money, to be honest. If anything, it's more me plowing all my race money into it.
Okay. To try to build like
to
Amazon
build
style.
Yeah.
Grow.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Hence why I live in my RV.
Well, because you had a house.
Yeah, I've had a house in the past,
Yeah.
but also I was paying for something that I'm not in for more than half a year.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time I kind
So you actually live in your RV?
Yeah, I do.
around.
Actually, yeah, I actually live in my RV.
When I met him for the first time, he lived in. You lived in a different. I don't know.
Yeah, an older RV. Yeah,
quite a bit older.
Yeah, 1998 one.
Yeah,
it was,
that thing.
Is it pretty pimped the one you've got now though?
It's 2006.
Yeah.
So it's not that new. It's nearly 19 years old now, isn't it? So it's a Monaco Diplomat, so it's a big one, 40 foot. In your language,
Yeah, big dog.
It's got a few slide outs and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's cool. I love it. Again, it's something else that I absolutely love being in that thing.
What's crazy is driving those fucking things in the UK.
UK.
Dude. Well, because they're left-hand drives.
Yeah, you can't
and
see anything
on the right side, and you're on a different side of the road. And dude, the UK was not built for him.
No, I can imagine not.
No, I'd like a bigger one, but you can't. Yeah, you can't even import them. They're too long because you can get obviously your tag axles here are a lot longer.
Yeah.
Another 4 or 5 foot, something like that. But you can't have them in the UK.
Well, this is 46 feet. Just this trailer.
Without the truck.
Yeah, so you might get away with the trailer because it's articulated, but not as a rigid.
Going back to what I was just asking, do you think any of that stuff would affect your ability to like perform if you got married, had kids, like any of that stuff?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I can shut it off too easy to not have it affect me.
That's so amazing. Where do you think you learned that from or got that from? Was it something you always had, like when you were a kid, even before you started riding? Were you risk adverse at all?
Yeah, I'm just not a worrier. I don't ever think about, what if that happens, or no, I'd have to deal with this, or I just don't. My life doesn't work like that, or my brain doesn't work like that. My missus does all that for me. She worries about everything and anything. I literally don't have that mentality at all. I'm very much the opposite. I'm super chilled and just get on with life. And if something goes wrong, I just deal with it and move on to the next thing.
Do you think that's helped you when you were going through your tough times early on in racing?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't have carried on for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, you said you were in debt, and you know,
yeah.
I mean that I know that hole is tough.
I was in debt and didn't own anything. That was the big thing. Like, there's one thing having debt, but you've got a car or a van or something you could sell to get. I had debt when I didn't own anything. I didn't own a car. I didn't own a van. I was living in a motorhome that I didn't own. Like, I literally had zero and a lot of debt because I wanted to race.
Yeah.
And I pushed everything into racing.
So do you think that same, like, not fearing risk at all, do you apply that with the business as well? Like when you're looking at that kind of stuff, or is it a bit different?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I kind of, no guts, no glory.
Yeah, just betting on yourself.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
No one else is.
I don't know about that these days. I think you've got quite a few people.
I think finally, I just, would you ever want to race in another championship?
Do you know what? I've looked at even racing in Moto America.
Okay.
I actually would enjoy myself here, definitely. And I've not watched really closely or intensely, but I know some of the tracks and they're pretty cool. They're definitely my sort of style of tracks. And yeah, I'd love to come and be able to do something something in a different championship. I've done a little bit of World Endurance, like I said. I've done 4 rounds of World Superbike now, 3 in the UK and 1 in Czech Republic, which has been pretty cool. I'd love to do some more, but I'm getting a bit old, I guess, for all that lot. But who knows?
If you ever would do that, would you think BMW would help you like with a team here, or would you try to bring something over and do your own? If you had your way, like, would you just bring your own shit?
It'd be nice to do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because you know it.
Yeah, but
and would you run electronics?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone else is though, aren't they? You see?
They have to, yeah.
So if everyone else is doing it, you're gonna have to, because it makes such a big difference.
Like at Donington, when you guys used to do those, like it was.
Honestly, the Superbikes are like World Superbikes. It's like a spaceship compared to what we've got, and
Yeah.
the lap times are so much faster.
Yeah.
They're not a little bit faster;
Yeah.
they are a lot faster.
Mm.
And essentially, it's the same bike.
How much different are the times between super stock and you guys?
Depends on the track. A lot of the time, not that much. So, but the big thing is, like, a lot of the riders that even in the Superstock Championship, they kind of edge towards the top 10 of the BSB times, and they're like, "Fucking put me on a Superbike, and I'll show these lot." Like, you go on a Superbike and they go 2 seconds a lap faster. Sorry, 2 seconds a lap slower. Like, the bike's so hard to ride a Superbike once you take all them electronic aids off and give it another 40 horsepower. It's like it's an absolute animal.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
They're tough. They're tough, but. That's why certain people can ride them and some people can't.
Davey went from the super stock bike to the Superbike. Was that tough for him with the electronics?
I mean, he's done it a couple of times. So he's done it on a little bit on Honda, and he's done it a little bit on a BMW. He's never done a full championship yet. This will be his first time full championship riding a Superbike for a whole year.
Okay.
So he's not ridden for a little while now. When did he last? He might have ridden at the end of last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he rode the mill.
No, it would be the Cinetic bike.
There you go.
At Taz. So obviously he won the championship with Taz anyway.
Yeah.
And he did ride the Superbike a little bit. Can't remember where he ended up. Not sure. Wasn't inside. Don't think he was inside top 10. Don't think. But
that's hard to crack.
But also he had to just jump on it and go.
Yeah.
Like he didn't go testing. He didn't he just.
I think that's the
got on the
hardest
road.
thing is like.
Well, even the super stock electronics are so good on the BMW.
So good.
Yeah,
You just learn bad habits for BSB.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a bad habit. Well, it's a bad habit if you're going to then ride without them.
Yeah.
Mm.
For sure.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got for you. I know we said 2 hours and we're 2 hours and 15. So
We know you got to get going here.
Yeah, my phone's been like going ding ding ding. I'm guessing the team's just sat waiting for me.
probably.
Wait, one final question we ask everybody. You're on death row. I don't know why. Why is he on death row?
It doesn't seem like you get up to any. I don't think he gets up to anything too bad. Maybe running the cops.
No, he gets up to mysterious shit. No, I know a little bit.
I just got away with it.
Yeah, I there's some stuff. But anyways, you're on death row.
Yeah.
What would be your
Final meal?
your death row meal? Why, did Coops tell you?
No.
Oh,
No, but I know about the whole final meal thing. I don't know why I know that, but
how do you know?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That's not our thing. It is a thing otherwise.
I don't know. It's a bit of a US thing. There's not many places with capital punishment nowadays, is there?
So you're on death row.
Death
What's
row,
your
what?
final meal?
Final meal. My favorite food is Chinese food, but not like real Chinese food, as in like UK English Chinese food.
So what are you getting?
Special chow mein, prawn crackers, and hoisin sauce because it's epic.
Is that like duck sauce?
Yeah, duck sauce. Yeah.
And then you drinking a Guinness?
Yeah, probably would actually.
With
Yeah.
the Chinese food.
Yeah, with the Chinese food. Yeah, it's like a meal in a glass with a meal.
I love it. Amazing.
That's so sick. No, it's been really amazing to have you on. Super excited, super thankful.
Thanks
for
for
you
having
taking
me.
The time and bummed I'm not going to be out there with you at the 200. I was hoping we'd have a better showing than last year.
Good.
To get up there and battle with you, just because it'd be cool to ride with you guys. But
Next year,
maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
If my back can handle it, I'm getting old too. You know.
Seriously though, Peter, it's been awesome. Amazing to see what you've come from and what you've built. I think that's super incredible to get a deep dive into that and to get a deep dive into the TT. A lot of things I didn't understand or know. Super incredible. We wish you the best, and hopefully you have a great 200.
Thank you very much. Cheers for having me, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dreams, I wanna see 'em alive.